Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Mashegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning, my friends, and happy Monday. Thanks for coming out to hang out with me today. Today is Monday, December 30th, 2024. 2025 is almost here. It's almost here. Have you guys been following what's been going on with this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, Michigas? Anyone? It's getting heated, and it's not ending anytime soon. Certainly is not ending anytime soon. So the latest thing that happened, let me get on the Ethernet here, is that Stephanie Jones, the ex-publicist for Justin Baldoni, has now sued Justin Baldoni and the other two women who were allegedly responsible for the smear campaign against Blake Lively. So it's interesting. Bo just watched the movie. What'd you think? What'd you think about the movie? Did it seem a little awkward to you? Did it seem a little uncomfortable? I don't know. I didn't, from the time I saw that movie, I didn't feel any chemistry between the two of them anyway. So it kind of makes more sense now in retrospect, now that we see what's going on or what had been going on behind the scenes. Happy holidays to you too, Ms. Buckeye 99. Thanks for hanging out with me for 6 months. I appreciate you. The other thing, as I was doing my deeper dive into this, have any of you seen the proposal video that Justin Baldoni published to his wife something like 11 years ago on his Wayfarer Studios channel? It has 14 million views. He did a whole short film to propose to his wife, Emily. And I couldn't decide if it was really romantic or really cringy. And I'd love to know what you guys think about it. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it to this video below because, yeah, what'd you think, Cyber Chicken Boston? What'd you think? Svetty said it was bananas. Some people might think it's, super romantic. Other people might think it's super narcissistic, or a vehicle for him to just put on his YouTube channel. It was wild. It was wild. He had her waiting in a restaurant, and then he played this whole 27-minute proposal video. It's kind of weird. Princess Mish was not one of the 14 million that watched it. Yeah, it's crazy. And he's built his whole entire platform of being like a male feminist, I guess you could say. And he had a podcast called Man Enough. And his TED Talk has 3.5 million views. And it's entitled Why I'm Done Trying to Be Man Enough. It's interesting to me because his whole entire platform was built on this, male feminist sort of persona that he created for himself. So it makes complete sense that in 2019, he ran out and got the rights to It Ends With Us from Colleen Hoover, right? Because what better vehicle for him to keep pushing his agenda of being such a male feminist. Amy says, my intro song reminds you of Big Head Todd. I went to college with Big Head Todd. That's very funny that you say that. He was in Boulder when I was in Boulder. And Big Head's band used to play at local bars, little tiny bars. And I think we paid $5 to get in, maybe. I think a lot of times he played for free, but that's so interesting. Thanks for saying that. Love him. It's December 30th, and there are about 700 leaf blowers outside, and I can hear them from a mile away. So there's that. It's New York. Really? Do we need to be leaf blowing? December 30th? I don't know. I guess we do. Hang on. All right, so this is heating up quite a bit. I'm going to play like a little clip that I found from NewsNation. I don't know when NewsNation turned into the Today Show, but apparently it has, because they're doing a morning show now that is reminiscent of something like the Today Show or Good Morning America, and I'm not real crazy about it, but let's take a look at the latest. And this was published, when did they run this? I think it was just, was it just yesterday? The 29th, today's the 30th. This is just yesterday. This is Paula Froelich, who is in this. She apparently now works for NewsNation, but she was the head of Page 6 on the New York Post for about 10 years. And if you had a celebrity client, Paula Froelich was the person that you wanted to be in good with, because she ran Page 6 and she could make or break your client's career based on what she published on Page 6. So listen to see what she has to say about this. My words are not coming to me so easily this morning yet, because, not enough coffee, but I have some here. So let's listen to this just to catch us up a little bit. It's also important to note that what Blake Lively has filed with the CCRD, the California Civil Rights Department, is not a lawsuit. It is not a lawsuit. It's a precursor to a lawsuit. You cannot sue for employment discrimination unless until you get a right to sue letter from the California Civil Rights Department. So what happens is you file a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department laying out all your claims like she did. And we read that together, and I've linked that stream below if you haven't watched it. And then you either request a right to sue letter, which gives you the right to sue in a California court, or the California Civil Rights Department will investigate your complaint. So when Justin Baldoni is now saying that he intends to countersue her, I'm not really sure what he means by that, because there is no pending lawsuit. There is simply a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department. He'll have an opportunity to respond to that complaint to the CCRD, but there is no lawsuit pending for him to countersue. The lawsuit that Stephanie Jones has filed is an actual lawsuit in New York State Court, and that's a breach of contract action. It is not an employment discrimination claim. That is why she is able to file that as a lawsuit, and we're going to go over that after we watch this short 5-minute piece from NewsNation with Paula Froelich.
You know and love that sound.
When did
It's
this
time for
happen to
Beef of the
NewsNation?
Week, and this time we're talking about one of the biggest beefs of the year. It is still going. Justin Baldoni versus his former co-star Blake Lively. NewsNation's entertainment expert Paula Froelich here to break it down. Paula, the story is not going away.
Oh.
Now Justin Baldoni is countersuing after you broke last week that Blake Lively was suing him.
Oh, yeah.
What's the latest?
Well, so here's the deal. Blake Lively is technically not suing him. She filed a complaint in the California Civil
Oh, good. Well, she knows that, so good. Good on Paula.
Rights Board.
Okay.
He is saying, hey, if this was a real thing, you should have actually sued me. So he's saying the word now is that this coming week, he is going to be suing her because he claims
If this is a real thing, you should have actually sued me. That's not the way it works in California. You can't sue someone for employment discrimination, as I just explained to you. So clearly, either this is being misreported or his lawyer doesn't know what he's talking about.
she started it. So that's the timeline of events.
Let's just look at that graphic. If you're not looking at the screen, there's a little graphic in between, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni that says, tail of the tape. Biggest role for Justin Baldoni is Raphael from Jane the Virgin. I never watched Jane the Virgin. Did you guys watch it? And then it says, biggest role for Blake Lively was Serena Vanderwoodson of Gossip Girl. Length of Hollywood career, it says Justin Baldoni's career has been 20 years long and Blake Lively's has been 19 years long. And then it says spouse, Justin's is Emily Baldoni. That's the one I was just referring to, who is in the proposal video. And Blake Lively's spouse, of course, is Ryan Reynolds. And it says net worth. Justin Baldoni's net worth is $1 million. And Blake Lively's net worth is over $380 million. $380 million. So quite a wealth discrepancy there. And if that's just her net worth, I can only imagine what Ryan Reynolds' net worth is, her husband.
She started it. So the timeline of events is a little odd. All right. They started filming the movie. They broke it because of the writer's strike. Then they went back in February. Before they went back, there was a huge meeting with Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. And it was a basic HR meeting. They said, listen, here are the things we demand. There were 30 demands.
30. Wow. Okay.
30.
All right.
Don't talk about your porn addiction. You're producing
30, yeah, because that's how horrific he was on set, him and his partner. And they agreed to all of them. They agreed to all of them. Why would he agree to all of them? They weren't going on, right?
partner Justin Heath cannot walk in on me while I am getting prepped for a nude scene. During nude scenes, no one else can be on set, including your friends. Like, it was really kind of odd. There was one that you think, well, maybe she said, stop talking about my weight. However, his comeback to that was, I have a bad back. I have to know how much you weigh in order to pick you up. So that one, I'm like, okay. The other ones are just like, whoa, that is dodgy. Now, meanwhile, he took it all in. The last month of filming apparently was fine. And then rumors started coming out. And the rumors were no cast wanted to be with him. Everyone unfollowed him. Ryan Reynolds blocked him. And all this other stuff, and that he was difficult and they didn't get along. That is why he claims he had his own publicist. Now, this is also where it gets dodgy. He had his own publicist, Jennifer Abel, who worked for another woman named Stephanie Jones. Jennifer Abel hooked up with another publicist named Melissa Nathan, who is a crisis manager PR. And that's when Blake got mad, because all of a sudden the public narrative started turning.
I remember.
She's blaming this crisis PR. They're saying they used the dark arts of the internet and all this
Dark
stuff.
arts.
So many lawsuits. So Stephanie Jones, you're wondering where because all of a sudden in Blake's civil thing, she basically comes out with all of these text messages.
They're very embarrassing for Justin.
Embarrassing. And people are like, where did she get them? Well, guess what? Stephanie Jones got mad because Jennifer Abel, who used to work for her, and Melissa, she's saying conspired to steal Baldoni as a client. And oh, guess what? Jennifer's husband works for William Morris, which also repped Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and up until recently, Justin Baldoni.
Wait, I think she means Stephanie's husband. Stephanie's husband works for William Morris. He's a big time agent there, Jason Hodes.
So Stephanie took the company phone from Jennifer Abel, got all of the messages, and handed them over. So everyone's like, ooh, that was last week. This week, they're saying Justin's like, enough. You know what? You know who started this? You know why it started? Started because Blake Lively's publicist, a woman I know pretty well, Leslie Stone, started leaking. Leslie is saying, and here is her quote, after that, I was contacted by various press outlets asking about allegations of HR complaints. When contacted, I responded to press questions by referring them to Wayfarer or Sony. It's clear that Mr. Baldoni and his Wayfarer associates are suggesting I originated press stories about HR complaints on set, which is false. And I do have to say, I have known Leslie Sloan for decades, and I believe her.
Okay, that goes a long way. And there's
It
no
does.
doubt this is going into 2025. We can expect more beef between these two.
All year, and I don't expect Justin Baldoni to be working anytime soon.
What about Blake? You think she's unscathed here?
Blake caused her own problems. Blake came off as unlikable in her interviews, and
All right, we'll talk about that too. Blake looking unlikable in her interviews because there is a woman who's got a YouTube channel. She also did an interview with Blake Lively in 2016, the one that everyone seems to hate Blake Lively for doing that interview with Parker Posey, if you know what I'm talking about. We'll talk about that in a second.
I do think that she is the one who, she can't believe that people didn't like her.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of hate online. Paula Froelich, thank you so much. And be sure to subscribe to the Scoop newsletter.
Yeah, there's a lot of hate online. Hannah says, I can't believe this is an actual segment. She sounds like she's gossiping. Yeah, she was in charge of Page 6. That's exactly what she does. That's her thing. I know. And I can't believe it's on NewsNation. Like, when did this happen? Hold on one second. Okay. Interesting, right? Yeah, who decides who's unlikable? Exactly. That's her name. Kirsten. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Kirsten, right? Kirsten Flaw. Kirsten Flaw. How many in the chat? Raise your hand if you've ever been pregnant. I have 5 kids. I've been pregnant a lot, including 1 twin pregnancy. And when you're pregnant, your hormones are going crazy, right? And you can become a nasty biatch. You can say things that you know are going to come out of your mouth, but you just can't. You just can't help it. You just can't help it. And that interview that she did with Kristen Flaw and Parker Posey back in 2016 when they were promoting that Woody Allen movie, Cafe Society. Yeah, raise your hand. I can't even hold that against Blake Lively because she was pregnant at the time. The interviewer said to her, like, oh, congratulations on your little bump. And maybe that was one of the talking points that was not supposed to be brought up during this interview. Maybe that interview was heavily edited because if you watch that interview, you can see how it cuts from Blake and Parker Posey talking to each other. It looks like they're kind of ignoring her. And then it cuts to the reporter, the Kirsten, who looks like she's very offended by what they're doing. But you can see where the cuts are in that interview. So do we know like what was cut out, what was left in? I don't know. It was kind of real. It was kind of weird. I don't know how real it is. Right. So real. Hormones are rough. Maybe that wasn't one of the things she wanted to talk about. Then there's another interview circulating. Remind me what it's about. But it's another reason that people are hating on Blake. And it's because somebody did an interview where they asked her, you know, if a DV victim came to you, what advice would you give them? And she says something like, you know, I'd give them do you mean like give them my address and tell them where to meet me or something like that? It was bizarre. It was a bizarre interview. But again, how heavily edited was it? We didn't see any live coverage of that. And exactly, it was a talking point that Blake and her team asked the interviewer not to discuss during the interview. It was agreed upon beforehand. Then she mentioned it, right? Exactly. So how, you know, how wouldn't that take you by surprise too and annoy you, especially if you're pregnant? It would. It would for me. She's done multiple interviews where she's nasty. I know these are some of the ones that I'm talking about, Melissa. If you can point out some other ones to me, point them out. But again, you know, we don't know how they're edited, right? I've been pregnant. I know what it can be like. Sherry says that Kirsty Flaw posted that interview for clout. Yeah, it is possible that Blake Lively can be unlikable in interviews and a mean girl or a snob or whatever people are claiming that she is, and also to have been sexually harassed on the set of It Ends With Us. Both things can be true. And I ask you that if Justin and his team agreed to these 30 demands that she had before resuming production after a writer's strike and an actor's strike, there had to have been beads of truth in there, because why would they agree to those things if those things hadn't been happening, right? Linux says editing also includes rearranging clips so things can be out of order, but who would know, right? You could take certain answers to certain questions and put them after certain questions are asked, so we never know. And based on this initial complaint by Blake Lively, we're learning a lot about astroturfing. And apparently astroturfing is now a real thing. It's the opposite of a grassroots effort. It's planting certain stories, certain threads on socials like Reddit and Twitter to make it look like it's an organic conversation among fans or everyday people, when it's actually bots doing it and people who are planted to spin a narrative. And astroturfing is a real thing. And I think it's here to stay. And I think you might argue, if you've been following the Karen Reed case with me and you're on the cesspool of Twitter, that there's a lot of that going on in the Karen Reed case. And imagine what goes on for celebrities. You know, that's just a case, a criminal case going on in Massachusetts. So imagine what really goes out there in the real world. And the thing, what's happening here is that these lawsuits and the complaint on this lawsuit by Stephanie Jones is really pulling back the curtain on what goes on in the cesspool of the PR world of Hollywood. And in yesterday's deadline, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, I think, made a statement. Let's just take a look at this quickly before we move on to the complaint. I keep wanting to call her Samantha Jones because of Sex and the City, and she kind of reminds me of Samantha Jones, which is definitely a compliment. But let's take a look at this article that hit deadline yesterday at about what time? This was yesterday, 5:47 a.m. Justin Baldoni countersuit against Blake Lively will shock everyone, lawyer declares. Lively PR rep calls out false allegations of planted HR stories. Here's an update from yesterday. On December 20th, Lively filed an 80-page legal complaint against Baldoni, which we read together, citing his inappropriate behavior on set, as well as that he had been instrumental in an alleged smear campaign against her, all claims he denies. Now the UK's Daily Mail newspaper reports that Baldoni is preparing to file a counter lawsuit along with his business partner and Wayfarer Studios CEO Jamey Heath, and the Publicist's name in Lively's complaint. The Mail also reports that the papers will be filed by attorney Brian Friedman when the courts reopen after the New Year break, including claims as follows. Well, I just want to tell you that I don't know where Brian Friedman practices, but here in New York, everything is e-filed, and you can e-file it at any time. You don't have to wait until the courts reopen after the New Year break. It's electronic, so therefore it's open 24 hours a day. Brian Friedman is a well-respected attorney, so I'm sure that he knows that. I don't know if this is misreported or what, but it just makes it sound a little more dramatic than it actually is. And here's what he says he includes to claim in his countersuit, which it can't even be a countersuit because there's no lawsuit pending for Blake Lively. But again, nobody asked me. I'm just here to explain it to you and point out the inconsistencies and the untruths in this reporting. Lively's Vision PR team, led by company boss Leslie Sloan, was responsible for smears against Baldoni, not the other way around, as it is claimed in her legal filing. WhatsApp messages from Baldoni's team have been presented out of context in a way that alters their meaning. That Lively's own publicist planted stories painting Baldoni in a bad light with the news organizations. That Lively's legal move is designed to rebuild her public image after she received bad press during the promotional campaign for the film. It should be noted that the Daily Mail is already mentioned numerous times in Lively's filing to the California Civil Rights Department as a venue for parties in this ongoing dispute over what went down on It Ends With Us. Today's report feeds into that POV with its emphasis on Baldoni and lack of a statement from Lively's team. Despite, or perhaps because of it, the rumors of friction on set and social media uproar, It Ends With Us, based on the 2016 book by Colleen Hoover, detailing domestic abuse between a married couple, was successful at the cinema, earning more than $350 million at the box office from a $25 million production budget. Translation, it only cost them $25 million to make that movie, and it so far has made over $350 million. And now you can watch it on Netflix for free if you have a Netflix subscription. It's quite a good deal of profit. In a statement via her attorney when she filed her complaint, Lively said, I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct and helps protect others who may be targeted. To be clear, Lively's sexual harassment and retaliation complaint to the Golden State Agency is not an actual lawsuit. However, in setting the stage, it is a prelude to one to be filed soonish, we hear. As a result of that initial filing, Lively has received widespread support from figures across the industry. Baldoni was dropped by his agents at WME, which reps Lively, and her husband, actor Ryan Reynolds, had a Women's Solidarity Award revoked, and his podcast co-host quit their project. Yes, the podcast co-host was a female who jumped ship as soon as this news broke, pretty much. She's like, left skid marks, I'm out of here. He's also being sued by his ex-publicist, and that's the lawsuit that we're going to look at today. Today, in a preemptive move against any potential countersuit, Vision PR's Sloan offered Deadline a different perspective on the events in question. I was contacted on 8/11 by Sarah Nathan, Melissa Nathan's sister, forwarding an anonymous tip that Page 6 received regarding allegations of HR complaints on the set of It Ends With Us, Sloan says, noting the New York Post media connection by Baldoni's team ran by crisis PR chief Melissa Nathan. So Melissa Nathan is the sister of Sarah Nathan. Sarah Nathan works for Page 6, which is the gossip column in the New York Post. After that, I was contacted by various press outlets asking about allegations of HR complaints, Sloan stated. When contacted, I responded to press questions by referring them to Wayfarer or Sony for information regarding HR complaints, the veteran Flack added. It's clear that Mr. Baldoni and his Wayfarer associates are suggesting that I originated press stories about HR complaints on set, which is false. Please read Ms. Lively's complaint and the complaint filed by Jonesworks LLC and Stephanie Jones, which provides the details of the campaign against my client. The statement from Sloan was also provided to the Daily Mail, we're told, though it didn't seem to make the cut. On the other side, Baldoni's main lawyer, Brian Friedman, would neither confirm nor deny that Daily Mail's self-declared exclusive that a countersuit is coming January 2nd. Still, in typical fashion, Friedman came out swinging when talking to Deadline today. I'm not going to speak to when or how many lawsuits we are filing, but when we file our first lawsuit, it's going to shock everyone who has been manipulated into believing a demonstrably false narrative, the Hollywood legal street fighter told Deadline. It will be supported by real evidence and tell the true story. In over 30 years of practicing, I have never seen this level of unethical behavior intentionally fueled through media manipulation. It reminds me of what NBC tried to do to Megyn Kelly and Gabrielle Union, and we all know how that ended up. Stand by. Well, those are fighting words. Sometimes when you read these articles, you got to go for the comment. And there are 128 of them so far. And it's worth the read. You can just go on deadline.com, and you can read them for yourself if you so desire later on. Let's go to the chat for a minute before we start the complaint. Wine Yogi's here. Wine Yogi's here. Welcome. He loves it. She loves it here, and she's here. Thanks for hanging out for 6 months. And Cat's Meow says, thanks for covering this. XOXO to you too. And every time I think of Blake Lively, I can't help but think of Gossip Girl. Spotted at Grand Central, Serena van der Woodsen. Oh, mothers of twins are very special, aren't they? So special. Yep, exactly. Swendig. Jed Wallace weaponized the digital army against Blake too. I think you're saying Blake. It's connected to Jack at the movie Paramount and MTV. Here we go. Go to law school, girls. Lindsay says, I knew about Parker's issues and assumed Blake was protecting her friend. Fel Bombling says, weird thing is Blake was in Cannes during the Flaw interview doing press for 2 different movies, Cafe Society and The Shallows, while pregnant. I give her a huge pass. Me too. Right? Bell Moon says WME and Sony were present at the meeting with the 30 points that Blake discussed, right? And Ryan was there too, right? He knew what was going on. Yep. And you know what? I give her a lot of credit for not walking away. She was the star power behind this movie. Let's face it. Nobody knew who he was. I still don't really know who he is other than this movie. I didn't watch Jane the Virgin. And she would have put probably over 1,000 people out of work had she walked off that set after everyone working on that set had already been out of work from the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And this movie had to go on hiatus for months. And when these people, below the line people, aren't working, they don't get paid. So many people really went destitute. So many people in the industry went destitute during the actor strike and the writer strike and the panty combined when production shut down. So I give her a lot of credit for not walking away, which she could have done, but she had enough class not to do, in my opinion. So there's that. Yeah. See that? All right. Let me just let me pull this up for 1 second. And I'm already getting froggy, so give me a second while I spray my throat. Hang on, I'll be right back. So my vocal fry doesn't annoy people who have misophonia. Hold on. I didn't even know misophonia was a thing until somebody recently brought it to my attention and was upset that I was swallowing my drink in my microphone. Apologies in advance. Anyone out there who suffers from it, because legit, I had no idea that it was really a thing. Okay, this says in red at the top, caution, this document has not yet been reviewed by the court clerk. See below. So this was this has not been indexed yet, or was not at the time that it was made public. It was filed on, or the story broke, I think it's like Christmas Eve. Yeah, it was electronically filed. Take this out of the way for a second. On Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas to Justin Baldoni, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Wayfarer Studios, and John Doe's 1 through 10. Merry Christmas. This was filed on Christmas Eve. In New York, lawsuits do not hit the court docket or the public docket anyway until after an RJI is filed, which is a request for judicial intervention. So if you were trying to look for documents in this case, you won't be able to find them until after the answer is filed and one of the parties files an RJI, which essentially you pay money and it gets assigned to a judge. Then it gets into the public computer and then you can pull up documents. But until then, you won't be able to unless you have another way of getting them, like I did for this lawsuit. So here we go. This is well, here's an interesting comment. Desert Quill says, ugh, being pregnant is not an excuse to be unprofessional. We have the ability to behave ourselves while pregnant, not defending Baldoni, who has major creep vibes. And I'm not defending Blake Lively. I'm just showing her a little bit of grace, because if that was one of the talking points that this reporter was not supposed to mention, and she did, I could see how she would get annoyed. I don't think that makes her a horrible person. Everybody has an off day, but people seem to be pointing to these two specific interviews, right? Or more. If you guys have more, let me know. But it's these two specific ones that people really seem to be hanging their hats on. That one from 2016, and then another one during the promotion of this film. And if you watched my last show, you know that the media strategy for the promotion of this film was very specific about what they were allowed to talk about and what they were not allowed to talk about. And they were supposed to make it uplifting and not make it focusing on the DV aspect of the film. So she was only doing what she was contracted to do in promotion of this film. And that's that. Right. Being pregnant's not an excuse for people to ask inappropriate questions, though. Exactly. Exactly. When are you due? That's a question you never ask a woman. When are you due? Because what if she's not pregnant? Yeah. All right. This is Stephanie Jones and Jones Work. Plaintiffs against Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and John Doe's. can't watch the chat while I'm reading, so try and save the questions until later. Plaintiff Stephanie Jones and Jones Works, LLC, by and through their undersigned counsel, bring this complaint against defendants Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, LLC, and John Doe's 1 to 10, and respectfully allege as follows. I'm going to pull up the chat on my phone so I can see if you guys need me for anything like, I can't hear you, or your mic's going in and out. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Nature of the case. Defendants Abel and Nathan secretly conspired for months to publicly and privately attack Jones and Jones Works, to breach multiple contracts and induce contractual breaches, and to steal clients and business prospects. Behind Jones's back, they secretly coordinated with Baldoni and Wayfarer to implement an aggressive media smear campaign against Baldoni's film's co-star, and then used the crisis as an opportunity to drive a wedge between Jones and Baldoni and to publicly pin blame for this smear campaign on Jones, when Jones had no knowledge or involvement in it. To this day, Abel and Nathan continue to point the finger falsely at Jones now that their own misconduct is coming to light, and to defame and attack Jones in the industry. Baldoni and Wayfarer, who have since parted ways with Jones Works, have repudiated their contractual obligations with Jones Works and rebuffed Jones's efforts to settle this dispute privately in arbitration. Defendants will not stop attacking Jones and have refused any efforts to resolve these issues out of court. This lawsuit seeks to finally put a stop to their continued misconduct and to compensate Jones and Jones Works for the damage defendants' conduct and scheme has inflicted. Stephanie Jones is a highly respected public relations expert who focuses on corporate and personal publicity. Through her company, Jones Works, she has represented many high-profile celebrities, athletes, companies, and business people. Among Jones Works' clients were Baldoni, a well-known actor, director, and producer, and Wayfarer, his movie production company. Baldoni produced, directed, and co-starred in the film It Ends With Us, the film. In connection with the film's release in August of 2024, Baldoni began to fear that the media might report on allegations of misogynistic and toxic on-set behavior, and that the fallout would be harmful to his reputation and career. Determined to protect his reputation, Baldoni and Wayfarer's CEO, Jamey Heath, turned to Abel, who had become the point person at Jones Works on the Baldoni and Wayfarer account. Abel brought on crisis fixer Melissa Nathan to help her manage the situation. Together, Abel and Nathan, with Heath's active encouragement, conspired to shut Jones out of the process and keep their strategy hidden from her. I just want to point out that this guy, Jamey Nathan, his business partner and buddy, if you watch that proposal video, there's a couple of segments where they do like really cheesy, like, I don't know, they like try and like reenact music videos kind of. And it was 11 years ago, and this guy, Jamey Nathan, is right in there in the boy band music video segment and other music video segments. It was really kind of cringe, in my opinion. Some people might think that's really romantic. For Abel and Nathan sprang into action, scheming to bury and destroy co-star Blake Lively to protect Baldoni. Their plan was covert, deliberately concealed from Jones, and went far beyond the legitimate scope of Abel's employment. At the same time, Abel and Nathan were pursuing a far more selfish purpose, tearing down Jones's reputation to take her clients and enrich themselves upon Abel's planned departure from Jones Works. I also want to point out to you that it's highly unfortunate, but I think, I mean, this is just kind of a guess, that Jen Abel and Melissa Nathan's careers in this industry might be over. It's just a prediction. It's unfortunate. But they're being alleged of conspiring behind their bosses, behind Jen's bosses back. Jen was the one who worked for Stephanie, Steph and Jen, and hiring Melissa and then trying to steal all of her clients and doing all of this behind her back because Stephanie says she never would have allowed this. And here are some receipts in text message form because apparently Steph took possession of Jen's phone and therefore had all of these text messages and then was subpoenaed, or maybe told Blake Lively's people to subpoena her and turned over these messages to Blake Lively's team, which in turn made it into Blake Lively's complaint. And as such, this complaint, which is actually a filed lawsuit, is in a sense backing up Blake Lively's complaint with the CCRD. Here's a text message from Melissa to Jen. I know, and once you are gone, we will be on accounts together and make really good money and be happy. So this shows her allegedly plotting to quit JonesWorks. This is July 29th, 2024. And then Melissa says to Jen on August 9th, let's just keep it steering that way. And you take this effing client and never talk to her again. I swear to God. Paragraph 5, avarice, not any sincere appreciation for Baldoni, was Nathan and Abel's motivation. Abel's candid communications revealed that she, in fact, held Baldoni personally in extremely low regard. Oh, well, this is great because now she's going to try and drive a wedge in between Baldoni, Jen, and Melissa by pointing out that they actually hated Baldoni, because here's some receipts on that. Here's a text from Jennifer Abel to someone who's been redacted. I can't stand him. He's so pompous. A men's retreat during a release. Is he crazy? And being off the grid for the summer because he's just so overworked. Like, calm down. You're not that important, and nobody gives a shite how hard your life is. And that's January 14th of 2024. Here's another one from Jen to somebody redacted. He doesn't need a retreat. He needs to be humbled. When this movie flops, he's going to try to blame every person around him for it. And that's also from January 14th of 2024. And a third message from Jen to someone unknown. He may fire us because even if we put together an amazing campaign, it's not going to change the fact that he's so unlikable and unrealistic as the leading man. There's no chemistry with him and Blake. You and I both know that. She will be resistant to promote this movie, and press will be reluctant to do anything with Justin without Blake being part of it. So there, those are my thoughts. And this was January 14th, 2024. This is kind of a cold read. I haven't read through this whole entire thing, but I'm glad to see that somebody in the industry actually saw the same thing that I did, that there was zero chemistry between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, in my opinion, in this movie, which I thought was such odd casting. And then I watched him do some sort of interview where he said, originally I wasn't even going to play Ryle. I was just going to direct the movie. But then, I really felt that I had to play Ryle. Well, I don't know. He might have wanted to hire someone else, in my opinion, but whatever. Months earlier, Abel had voiced the same opinion in connection with a filmed kissing scene between Baldoni and Lively, which was described to Abel as so gross, and revealed that Abel was well aware of Lively's onset complaints about Baldoni's behavior. Again, from Jen to someone else. It's so cringy. His face. This was January 13th, 2024. And there's a response from perhaps this same person back to Jen. Blake was probably grossed out too. And then Jen responds, yeah, and filed a cease and desist. January 13th, 2024. The tea gets hotter. 7, at the same time as Abel and Nathan were working to protect Baldoni from negative press attention, they were actively working their media context to plant negative stories about Jones from JonesWorks. Central to Abel and Nathan's personal vendetta against Jones was an August 2024 Business Insider article titled, Who's Afraid of Stephanie Jones? That Abel and Nathan coordinated with a friendly reporter. Indeed, as early as July 29th of 2024, Abel and Nathan were coordinating their outreach to Katie Warren, the Business Insider reporter who eventually published the article attacking Jones. In case you're keeping score, apparently what this is revealing is that Abel and Nathan were not just out to smear Blake Lively, but they were also out to smear Stephanie Jones. Here's a text from Jennifer to Melissa. Did you by chance chat with Katie, the journo? And this was from July 29th, 2024. Melissa responds back to Jen. No, she's calling me soon. Actually, should be very soon, probably in the next 10 minutes. 8. Conversations between Abel and Nathan show close coordination with Warren, including numerous lengthy phone calls between Abel and Warren between July 30th and August 12th. Abel also facilitated Warren's outreach to former clients of Jones in order to further disrupt Jones' Works business and negatively influence the coverage. This included putting Warren in touch with a client with whom Jones had worked closely for years, bringing her from obscurity to prominence, and who terminated her contract with Jones as a direct result of Abel's encouragement and deliberate interference. This is what we call in the torts world, tortious interference with contract. It's not something you want to be sued for because those are tangible damages. You can actually calculate the amount of money that you can be damaged by, unlike emotional damages, which are usually decided by a jury, unless you settle the case, because it's not something that can be documented and calculated. Here's a text from Jennifer to Anonymous. FYI, Katie's going to try you again by phone to confirm if blank is a client. July 30th, 2024. And then Jen again says, I would definitely call her ASAP and say off the record, she's not, and to not have her included in the piece. This is July 30th again. 9. On the eve of the article's release, Nathan boasted about the destructive effect this story would have on Jones, mocking Jones in a text to Abel and jokingly suggesting that Abel should tell Jones. This is from Melissa to Jennifer. Stephanie, are you aware there is a kill story, all in caps, dropping this week on you? And if you hadn't have blown us up, we would not have been in such a bad place. Wow. So just because you're in PR doesn't make you literate, because this says, here's what dropping on. Are you aware there is a kill story dropping this week on you? And if you hadn't of hadn't of blown us up, we would not of been in such a bad place. This is, I can't read that date. Hold on. August 14th, 2024, which was the eve the story broke in Business Insider. 10. Abel and Nathan's conspiracy to take down Jones was virulent and effective, which they themselves recognized was fueled by society's natural willingness to tear down successful women, and they capitalized on this for their own gain. Oh, we talk about that so often, don't we? It's always women trying to tear down other women. Why is that? Why is that? From Melissa to Jennifer, it's actually sad because it just shows you have people really want to hate on women. And that's again on August. That's on August 10th, 2024. Same day, August 10th, from Jennifer to Melissa. I know it's sad, but then don't be a C word. I'm not going to say it, but she spelled it out. 11. As her planned departure neared, Abel boasted to Nathan about the damage she was doing to Jones' Works, her then current employer, and Nathan goaded her on. Jen to Melissa, we're going to war. August 13th. I feel so alive. Ha 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 ha. Oh man. This is gonna be like the death of her. I feel so alive. Ha 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 ha. This is August 13th of 2024. And then from Melissa back to Jen. Oh, look at this. Going out of JW. Jones Works going out of JW with a bang. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. August 13th, 2024. 12. Abel and Nathan also conspired to ensure that Wayfarer and Baldoni would leave Jones Works and come with Abel to her planned new firm. From Melissa to Jennifer. Just had a nice conversation with Justin, just him and me. I explained to him a few things in my conversations with Leslie. He's like, don't help her. I'm like, I'm not helping her. I'm telling her what we're not doing, and she needs to also not do anything. And my last conversation with her was last Wednesday or so, and then I couldn't help myself. From Melissa to Jennifer. That was August 19th. Melissa then also says, I ended it with, and I'm just going to step out of line before I go to bed and tell you, Jen is amazing. She's so loyal. She loves you so much, and you have to go with her. And he was like, oh my God, of course I'm going with her. Don't kill me. Okay, bye. So these are conversations that apparently Melissa Nathan had with Justin about going with Jen when she jumped ship from Stephanie Jones. Then Jennifer responds, ha 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 ha, OMG, love you. August 19th. Thanks for chatting with him. You know, it's terrible when the receipts are provided because it really helps prove a legal case. People are so stupid. Why are people still texting things they should only be talking on the phone about? I have no idea, but they still do it. Technology is really sinking a lot of people when it comes to lawsuits and criminal cases. 13, by the time Jones became aware of the plot in August of 2024 and terminated Abel, it was too late and the damage was done. Abel had already stolen more than 70 proprietary and sensitive business documents and additional client leads from Jones Works. Beyond those documents, Abel left Jones Works with Baldoni and Wayfarer in tow and immediately opened shop at her own competing firm, which she had set up while still working at Jones Works. Wow. So she's like on the payroll. Stephanie's paying her and she's on company time. She's using that time to set up her own shop, steals a whole bunch of documents and clients, takes off. You're just not allowed to do that. Because you're going to see she had an employment contract that prohibited her from doing that, but it's breach of fiduciary duty. There's a lot of issues here, which we're going to get into when we read the causes of action. She further sought to poach employees in violation of the non-compete and non-solicitation provisions in her contract. As for their part, encouraging Abel and leaving with her, Wayfarer and Baldoni breached their own contract with Jones Works and then poured salt in the wound by baselessly refusing to pay the remaining amount owed. 14, Abel and Nathan's covert takedown and smear campaign were revealed in black and white on Abel's company-issued phone following her termination. There's been a lot of, I'm going to break from this for a second to just say there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not this was a company-issued phone, and it says here in the complaint that it was a company-issued phone. So I'm going to take that at its word, and that is why Stephanie Jones was able to seize her phone upon her departure from the firm, because it was a company-issued phone. A lot of companies now give you a reimbursement for your phone so that you can keep your own number, because so many people work remotely and have their own phone numbers already. So this seems to have been a company-issued phone, which Jones Work forensically preserved and examined in detail after receiving a subpoena for the phone's contents. So she does say she did receive a subpoena, I'm assuming from Blake's team. Jones discovered the breadth and intensity of Abel and Nathan's duplicity from these records, including that Abel was actively encouraging other Jones Works clients and employees to leave Jones Works while Abel was still employed there. Abel continues to this day to defame and point the finger at Jones, seeking to dodge the inevitable fallout from her own actions and behavior coming to light. Jones has tried in good faith to resolve this dispute out of court, but those efforts have been met with a complete lack of accountability and stonewalling. Defendants' finger pointing and smear campaign, defendants plural, so all of them, and smear campaign against Jones still continues. Jones anticipates that she will be subject to even more retaliation and negative attacks from defendants for filing this lawsuit and revealing the truth. But she's been left with no choice but to seek to vindicate her rights through litigation and put a stop to defendants harassing and damaging her behavior and damaging behavior against her. It's go to the chat for a second before we move on to the next second. At the next section, talk about the parties to the case. Hi, Joseph Kane. Thanks for hanging out for 4 months, and happy 2025 to you too. And thank you as well. There's Melly. Hi, Melly. Thanks for the 5. Hello, Melly. How you been? Happy almost New Year. Happy almost New Year. One more day and a wake up, and we'll be in 2025, my friends. It's hard to believe. It's been a long December, though it has been a pretty good year for me. It's been not a great year for a lot of people, so maybe this year will be better than the last. Michael says, this is a RICO trial I would love to watch. Well, here's the thing. All of a sudden, New York is allowing cameras in certain courtrooms because we saw Luigi Mangioni's arraignment with a camera in the courtroom, which never happens. That was in Manhattan Supreme. However, the New York rule is things can only be televised when no witnesses are testifying or jurors are present. So I don't think we're going to be able to see that trial. But we did get to see the arraignment. I did cover that. We watched it together. Lisa says, damn, they were poaching clients, stealing property, and defaming their former boss as well as Blake. Yep. Yes, they were. Apparently. Yes, now you have that drunk on drugs. Now you have the Counting Crows in your head. I know. Adam Duritz invades my thoughts on the daily. I love the Counting Crows. The only band other than, well, these two back here, The Dead and Dave Matthews, that I really follow around and see every time they come. Although, unlike The Dead and Dave Matthews, Counting Crows plays the same set every night. So going 2 nights in a row is not really, it's not the same as having a different set list every night, but there's that. Yeah, Justin, you got to go with Jen. She's totally loyal as she stabs her boss in the back, says to your dad, yep, you're picking up what they're laying down here. Yep. You think someone in PR would understand a non-compete, Becky? You would think. She also probably thought these text messages were never, ever getting out. In fact, didn't they say they were WhatsApp messages and not even text messages? But so they thought they were communicating on WhatsApp, and they thought it was going to be secret and encrypted doubly and not able to have been discovered. But she seized her phone. She got him. Christina says, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. Nope, you don't. Treachery is blatantly obvious. It is the dirty underbelly of Hollywood. I'm getting a front row seat to it. Parties. And then it just says that JonesWorks is a Delaware LLC, internationally recognized public relations firm. Principal place of business in New York. Stephanie Jones resides in Greenwich, Connecticut. She's the founder and CEO of JonesWorks. Defendant Jennifer Abel resides in Beverly Hills, California. From approximately July 20th to August of 2024, Jennifer Abel was an employee of JonesWorks. She was 4 years there. It's not a short time. I'm sure they were probably very close at one time. I don't know how big the company is, but in August 2024, Abel was terminated for cause by JonesWorks and established RWA Communications, of which she is the founder and CEO. Defendant Melissa Nathan is an individual who resides in Los Angeles, California. Nathan offers crisis management and communications services. During a portion of the relevant period, Nathan lived in Brooklyn, New York. In approximately January of 2024, Nathan launched the agency group PR LLC. Defendant Justin Baldoni is an individual who resides in Ojai, California. Baldoni is a professional actor and director and is a co-founder and co-chairman of Wayfarer Studios, an independent studio and production company. Baldoni was the director, co-star, and producer of the film It Ends With Us. I just want to break for a minute to show you the company website for Wayfarer. Let's just stop here. So here's their company website. So I was trying to figure out what else have they done. And so I've never heard of any of these films. If any of you have ever seen any of these films, let me know. This is his podcast, the Man Enough podcast. This is the female co-host who quit. And this is that other guy, Jamey Heath. They did this podcast together. Let me know if any of you have watched it or ever listened to it. She left skid marks. I forget her name. Here are some movies that allegedly that they produced: Racist Trees in 2024, Empire Waste 2024, The Senior, which is slated to come out in 2025, Clouds from 2020, It Ends With Us, of course, from 2024, Will and Harper, the Garfield movie, A Nice Indian Boy slated for 2025, Ezra, Pac-Man, 5 Feet Apart, The Hurricanes, Code 3, Badass Biker Chicks of Marrakesh, and then we're back to the beginning. It's a loop. Co-founded by Justin Baldoni and Steve Sarowitz and led by CEO Jamey Heath, Wayfarer Studios strives to harness the power of storytelling to champion inspirational stories that act as true agents for social change. Steve Sarowitz is like a billionaire. He was named in the Blake Lively complaint. And so there's that. There's not a whole lot to this website. Okay, back to the papers. Back to the papers. Hello, Dweez. Says I might be interested in looking up Kirsty Flaw a bit more. Her lawsuit against the Hollywood Foreign Press blew up the story about corruption behind the Golden Globes. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't really know much about her other than I saw her. I think she posted a video like yesterday about this and the original video interviews with Blake. Just not sure. All right. Defendant Wayfarer Studios is a Delaware company with its principal place of business in Beverly Hills. It operates an independent entertainment production studio and develops, produces, and finances feature films and other original media content. It was co-founded by current co-chairman Justin Baldoni and is led by CEO Jamey Heath. John Doe's 1 to 10 are unknown individuals who created and published the defamatory websites www.stephaniejonesleaks.com and www.stephaniejoneslies.com, as well as more than a dozen fake social media accounts and dark web accounts that defamed Jones and Jones Works. Those of you who are following Karen Reed know about about fake social media accounts and the damage that they can do on the cesspool of Twitter and Reddit and hide behind fake names. But Stephanie Jones is going to find out who she is and she's going to take them down. She's going to find out who they are. I mean, take them down. I like that. Jurisdiction and venue. And they go into why she's allowed to sue them in New York. Because they were all doing business in New York. They've committed tortious acts within New York, etc. As just one example, Baldoni and Heath met in person in New York with Lively regarding Baldoni's onset misconduct that started the sequence of events leading to this lawsuit. And she also says the court has jurisdiction over Abel, Baldoni, and Wayfarer because each is party to a contract with Jones Works that requires that disputes will be resolved in New York, subject to New York law. And venue is also proper because Jones Works' principal offices are in New York, and all of the substantial parts of the events giving rise to the claims occur in New York County. Factual allegations. 1, background on the parties and their contracts. Jones and Jones Works. Jones is a highly regarded leader in the field of public relations and the founder, president, and owner of Jones Works, an Emmy Award-winning marketing and communications agency. Jennifer Abel. In July 2020, Jones Works hired Abel to work as a publicist with the title Vice President. On July 9th of 2020, Abel and Jones Works executed 2 contracts, an offer letter establishing Abel's compensation, and a non-disclosure and intellectual property rights and non-solicitation agreement, the Abel NDA. One second, I have to sneeze. I'll be right back. Okay. The Abel NDA contained several provisions relevant to this complaint. Abel agreed to keep confidential any and all JonesWorks proprietary information, including strategies, plans, and financial information, as well as information relating to JonesWorks clients. Abel agreed that any work product she created was the property of JonesWorks. She also agreed that she would not prepare or assist in the preparation of any articles about JonesWorks without JonesWorks' express permission, would not disparage JonesWorks in any communications with any reporter or any JonesWorks client, and would not attempt to persuade any JonesWorks client to stop doing business with JonesWorks. Well, if that is accurate with regard to what the NDA says, and the allegations in this complaint are true, it's very clearly a violation of that agreement, leading to a pretty valid breach of contract claim. 30, on November 22, 2021, JonesWorks and Abel executed an employment agreement adjusting the terms of her employment. Under the employment agreement, JonesWorks granted Abel the title Vice President of Talent and provided her with compensation tied to the company's performance, including a bonus based on distributions made by the company and a payment equal to 1% of any net proceeds in the event of the sale of JonesWorks. Under the employment agreement, Abel agreed again that she would not use any JonesWorks proprietary information for any purpose other than benefiting the company, that the products of her work were the sole property of JonesWorks, that she would not directly or indirectly compete with JonesWorks for business during her employment. Here's the non-compete section. For a period of during her employment or for a period of 6 months after her departure. That's not even a very long non-compete. I've seen ones that are much longer. Although non-competes have been often found to be unenforceable. I think she's going to try and prove that she was actually competing during her employment, which is not acceptable under any terms. That she would not solicit any business from JonesWorks clients, that she would not solicit any JonesWorks employees to depart the company, and that she would only notify clients of her departure from JonesWorks with Jones' approval. Abel also expressly agreed that she owed JonesWorks a fiduciary duty of loyalty, fidelity, and allegiance to act at all times in the best interests of the company and to do no act which might injure the business, interests, or reputation of the company. The employment agreement included a New York choice of law provision and a New York forum selection clause. Abel expressly agreed to submit to the jurisdiction of any state or federal court sitting in New York for any disputes under the agreement. Shortly after executing the employment agreement, JonesWorks began referring to Abel as a partner, but Abel remained at all times an employee of JonesWorks and never held any partnership interest in the company. Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni. JonesWorks began providing public relations services to Baldoni in approximately 2017. When Baldoni founded Wayfarer in 2019, JonesWorks also began representing that company. Okay, so she represented him for at least 2 years before he even acquired the rights to the film It Ends With Us. In May of 2020, JonesWorks executed a contract to memorialize the terms of its provision of public relations services to Wayfarer, the Wayfarer Agreement. The Wayfarer Agreement provided that JonesWorks would provide strategic communication services in a professional manner. In exchange for these services, Wayfarer agreed to pay JonesWorks $20,000 a month, plus expenses, a 20% commission for any speaking engagements JonesWorks procured, and a 10% commission for any third-party agreements JonesWorks facilitated. The Wayfarer Agreement provided that if Wayfarer requested additional services, the parties would negotiate an additional fee for those services. That's a pretty hefty contract at $20,000 a month. I think that's on the high side for the industry, especially for a company like Wayfarer that really didn't have any content around that time. as far as we could tell from just a brief look at their website. Wayfarer agreed not to solicit any JonesWorks employees or attempt to induce any JonesWorks employees to terminate her employment during the time of the Wayfarer agreement or for 1 year thereafter. The Wayfarer agreement provided that either party could terminate only if the other party materially breached its terms and failed to cure those material breaches within 10 days of receiving notice. The Wayfarer agreement is governed by New York law. Any disputes under the Wayfarer agreement were to be resolved through binding arbitration in New York, New York. Wayfarer, through counsel, subsequently repudiated this arbitration provision. It's very common. A lot of contracts will provide that you have to, before you can start a lawsuit, agree to go to arbitration because it's a money saver and a time saver. It's a very common provision. The contract had a 1-year term that automatically renewed for additional 1-year periods unless either party gave notice 90 days before such a renewal. Neither JonesWorks nor Wayfarer ever gave notice under the provision. The contract most recently renewed for a 1-year period on May 7th of 2024 and will expire on May 6th of 2025. In June of 2020, a month after executing the Wayfarer agreement, and upon Wayfarer and Baldoni's specific request, the parties, including Baldoni, agreed to incorporate public relations services for Baldoni personally into that contract in exchange for an additional payment of $5,000 per month. Since that time, Wayfarer at Wayfarer and Baldoni's request, JonesWorks has issued a single invoice each month for $25,000 to both Wayfarer and Baldoni. Until the dispute described in this complaint, Wayfarer and Baldoni paid those invoices each month. Shortly after commencing I can't imagine his podcast was making that much money. But I mean, the movie's made $350 million. Shortly after commencing employment at JonesWorks, Abel began working with Baldoni and Wayfarer. As time passed, Jones grew confident in Abel's abilities, and Abel ultimately was entrusted as the primary JonesWorks point of contact for Baldoni and Wayfarer. In that capacity, Abel also worked closely with Jamey Heath, who previously served as Vice President of Impact and Culture and Co-Chief Operating Officer of Wayfarer, and currently serves as Wayfarer's President and Chief Executive Officer. In this capacity, Heath played a hands-on role in overseeing Wayfarer's projects and communication strategies. Baldoni, Wayfarer, Heath, and others accepted JonesWorks' consistent performance of its contractual services. You may remember also in the Blake Lively complaint that Jamey Heath thought it was appropriate to show Blake Lively the video of his wife giving birth. Because, there was a birth scene in the movie. It ends with us. And really, that's not appropriate in any workplace. But also, Blake Lively had also given birth at that point 4 times. And I'm pretty sure she knew what childbirth was like. I see a lot of stuff in the chat about somebody's loss. Everyone's praying for somebody. I don't know what it's about, but I'm so sorry about your loss as well. Whoever that is, Elizabeth Mullins. Your husband passed away. I'm very, very sorry about that. So sorry. Is somebody causing trouble? Team Brittany? Is somebody causing trouble? Karen Reed is important. This is not. I covered Karen Reed last night and Aiden Carney. So if you don't like it, you're free to turn off the channel and go watch some of my old content because I have like 100 videos on Karen Reed if you want to catch up. Thank you. Thank you so much for playing. Have a nice day. Unbelievable. Okay, moving on. I don't, this is not, I'm not a Karen Reed channel. I'm not hired by Karen Reed or her team to cover her case. I cover it because I'm passionate about it, because I don't believe she hit John O'Keefe with her car. But this is a legal channel and we cover lots of cases. So in case you're new here, obviously he's not, but the mind numbingness of some of the comments sometimes is beyond. There are 1,415 other people here who are interested in this. Justin, was that his name? Justin? So, you know, everyone hit the like button while we're here. I'll turn off the air conditioning. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we can walk and chew gum while juggling pies. This is what Renee says. People are not coping well with the downtime and Karen. It doesn't affect me because the Karen retrial is not my life. Thanks, Renee. I know what you're saying, but there's a lot of other things out there in the world that are happening in the world of law, true crime, celebrities, and other things. So there's that. Melissa Nathan is a longtime crisis manager who has previously worked at several public relations firms. In 2022, Nathan's and JonesWorks engaged in negotiations regarding Nathan potentially joining JonesWorks. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. That I did not know. The negotiations progressed significantly, including JonesWorks agreeing to hire and actually hiring two of Nathan's colleagues upon Nathan's insistence. Ultimately, however, negotiations with Nathan failed and she was not retained by JonesWorks. Oh, well, just want to point out, Stephanie, maybe that was not a good idea because maybe these moles infiltrated your company. They were already friends with Nathan and you hired them. Could be where all this began. Ultimately, yeah, she was not hired by JonesWorks. In 2023, Jones witnessed Nathan's approach to handling clients' crises when they worked for a mutual client. Nathan's tactics went far over the line. Jones recommended that the client terminate its relationship with Nathan, which was separate and independent from Jones and JonesWorks. Jones herself further resolved that she would not collaborate with Nathan for clients in the future. Guess the writing was on the wall. Doesn't say who that prior client was. If anybody knows, put it in the chat. Nathan seemed to harbor significant animus towards Jones and JonesWorks ever since. Oh, so she's saying she had a personal vendetta since this other situation with their other mutual client in 2023. Yeah, Kate. That's some next level obsession, right? Come on to my channel and tell me what I should be talking about because that's the only important thing. The only important thing. In January 2024, Nathan launched her own firm, the Agency Group PR. The Agency Group provides crisis management services to celebrities and other high-profile individuals and companies. Section Roman 2. Abel and Nathan's scheme to use Baldoni's crisis to attack Jones's reputation and steal JonesWorks' business. 46. In 2019, Baldoni and Wayfarer acquired the film rights to the best-selling novel It Ends With Us, written by Colleen Hoover, an author whose books enjoy a vast and devoted following, especially among young women. And again, if your brand, as Justin Baldoni's brand was, his podcast and everything else, if your brand is all about being a male feminist, and not being man enough, what better book and material to obtain the rights to than It Ends With Us? It's also important to point out that Colleen Hoover has stood behind Blake Lively during all of this, as has her co-star who played Atlas in the film. In 2023, Baldoni began production on the film adaptation of It Ends With Us, the film. Wayfarer was a co-producer of the film, and Baldoni owned the rights to its source material. Baldoni named himself as the director and male lead of the film, an abusive partner to the female main character played by Lively. Later reports emerged that during production, women on set, including Lively, made complaints about Baldoni's behavior toward them, including comments of a sexual nature and inappropriate touching. Jones later learned that the tensions on set had reached such a point that after the Screen Actors Guild strike halted production from July to early November of 2023, Lively had only agreed to return to production if Wayfarer implemented additional measures to prevent further improper behavior on set by Baldoni. All of those were set forth in the Blake Lively complaint, which we went over during the last stream on this case, which is linked below. The film was released in August of 2024. In connection with the release, the press began reporting on tensions between Baldoni and female cast and crew on set. According to reports, Baldoni had acted in a controlling, demeaning, and borderline abusive manner toward the cast and crew, especially toward women. The press specifically identified Lively and Hoover as having clashed with Baldoni during filming and speculated on the unusual circumstance that neither Lively nor Hoover was photographed promoting the film together, with Baldoni as evidence of tension. Let's look at footnote 1, because that's where all the juicy stuff is in the footnotes. And this is, see, for example, Sarah Nathan's article, coincidentally, sister of Melissa Nathan, entitled Truth Behind It Ends With Us Feud Rumors. Justin Baldoni made Blake Lively uncomfortable, sources say. And that was a New York Post article and linked to page 6. And then there's another article, Disturbing Truth Behind Why Blake Lively and Her It Ends With Us stars are feuding with Justin Baldoni. That was in the Daily Mail. Both of these stories are dated August 9th, 2024. As the August 2024 release neared, Baldoni began to fear that the increased attention being paid to him in the film would cause reports of allegations about his on-set misbehavior to come out. Abel and Nathan, with encouragement from Heath, and without Jones's knowledge or approval, began to formulate a no-holds-barred strategy to discredit and suppress any potential revelations about Baldoni's on-set behavior. Thanks, Lois Lane. Maybe it's just me, but I don't even read the title. I just come whenever Melanie's on. Thank you. Thank you very much. Jones, having entrusted the management of the Baldoni and Wayfarer relationship to Abel, trusted that any plan Abel formulated on behalf of Jones Works would appropriately reflect the company's integrity and ethos. Unfortunately, the opposite turned out to be true. Behind Jones's back, Abel went around Jones for a Baldoni. Back to 1. Unfortunately, I have to do this so that I remember where I was. The opposite turned out to be true. Behind Jones's back, Abel went around Jones to arrange for Baldoni and Wayfarer to retain Nathan and launch a smear campaign against Lively. On information and belief, Nathan took advantage of this opportunity to encourage Abel to leave Jones Works, to conspire with Abel to steal Baldoni and Wayfarer as clients from Jones Works, and to smear Jones and Jones Works in the press. On information and belief, Nathan did so because she believed, among other things, that Abel would encourage Nathan's own burgeoning relationship with these and other Jones Works clients, while Jones would not. This scheme ultimately inflicted serious damage on Jones and Jones Works. Section A. Abel and Nathan devise a smear campaign against Lively to benefit Baldoni and Wayfarer. I mean, this is backing up Blake Lively's complaint. Now it's 2 against 1. And remember that Stephanie Jones represented Baldoni, not Blake. Nathan and Abel's strategy for Baldoni was set forth in part on a 4-page memorandum sent to Baldoni, but kept secret from Jones, that outlined several potential scenarios at play here, which we should be prepared for should BL, Lively, and her team make her grievances public. And here is the confidential memorandum called Scenario Planning. It ends with us. Objective: protect the reputation of Justin Baldoni, Jamey Heath, and Wayfarer Studios in the lead up, during, and following the premiere of It Ends With Us. Underscore the achievement and efforts of the Wayfarer team in bringing this movie to life, and emphasize Justin and the studio's commitment to their team and making the broader industry a more inclusive space. Overview. Though there are several potential scenarios at play here, which we should be prepared for, Should Blake Lively and her team make her grievances public via a blatant story or subtle leak? Given she was made to compromise with the premiere, we feel she will move forward with doing so. The memo, which along with the overall strategy was kept secret from Jones, explicitly recommended weaponizing Baldoni's perceived history as a, quote, longtime activist and advocate of and for women in Hollywood, end quote, to be used against Lively, and at the same time sought to discredit Lively's negative onset experiences with Baldoni by painting her in the press as the one who had weaponized feminism for her own benefit. And then the document or the memorandum, the confidential scenario planning, goes on to say, Justin Baldoni has been a longtime activist and advocate of and for women in Hollywood, speaking out about his challenges his colleagues faced before the Me Too movement even began, according to his 2017 TED Talk. These pieces will likely come out following any potential hit piece and/or coverage from the premiere. Our recommended approach would be to provide reporters who reach out for comment, should it be obvious she's referring to you, with the appropriate background information listed in scenario 1 to ensure their stories are balanced and the speculation can be turned to another one of the many people she's had issues working with. And then in parentheses, it says Leighton Meester, Anna Kendrick, Ben Affleck, etc. I mean, I've heard of some stuff regarding Leighton Meester from the Gossip Girl, but if you guys are privy to any alleged problems that she's had issues working with, including Anna Kendrick or Ben Affleck, feel free to put it in the chat and hopefully I'll see it. As part of this, our team can also explore planting stories about the weaponization of feminism and how people in Blake Lively's circle, like Taylor Swift, have been accused of utilizing these tactics to bully into getting what they want. Oh, now she brought Taylor Swift into it. Now I'm mad. Now she brought Taylor Swift into it. I mean, it says right here, planting stories, right there in black and white. Yet this aggressive strategy was apparently still not tough enough for Baldoni, who texted Abel and Heath that he was, quote, not in love with the document Nathan sent. Not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call. Abel relayed Baldoni's concerns to Nathan, telling Nathan that Baldoni needed a stronger showing of strength, explaining, this is from Jennifer to Melissa. You can, of course, do that, but I do think he needs to know. I'm going to confidentially send you something. He's texting me and Jamey on the side just to arm you before this call. I think you guys need to be tough and show the strength of what you guys can do in these scenarios. He wants to feel like she can be buried. Baldoni is trying to say, I'm just going to break from the document for a second. Baldoni's people, or his lawyer, is trying to say that Baldoni's text messages don't really show that he had any sort of involvement in this, that he was trying to back off from this and that he disagreed with their strategy. But I think it shows the opposite when you put all of this together. Nathan immediately responded, of course, but you know, when we send over documents, we can't send over the work we will or could do, because that could get us in a lot of trouble. We can't write it down to him. We can't write down, we will destroy her. We will go to this. We will do this. We will do this. We will do this, said Melissa to Jennifer. And then Jennifer responds, of course not. But I told him that's the point of talking through. And then Melissa says to Jennifer, He has to look at it as an information document for us to be armed with. That's all. Imagine a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. Well, the text messages have now ended up in the wrong hands. Melissa then says to Jennifer, you know, we can bury anyone, but I can't write that to him. I will. I'll be very tough. Reggie Ray says, I'm so glad this is coming out. These women do not deserve their treatment. I defended Blake Lively at the time and everyone thought I was being soft, but something just didn't feel right. Yeah, it was cringe. The whole premiere for that movie was cringe. Nobody wanted to be next to that guy. Nobody wanted to stand next to him. And it wasn't just her. Nobody wanted to be in photos with him. It's just her. Yikes. Now we got bad blood. We got bad blood. Amanda coming in with the Taylor Swift. Why are they bringing Taylor Swift into this? Well, because Taylor Swift and Blake Lively are besties, Michael says. This just screams casting couch and what would happen to actresses back in the day. Yeah. Yay. Thanks, eMurph. Everyone hit the like button. Have a happy new year. Woo woo. Big old dog says, note, they never tried to talk to Blake and bury the hatchet and work it out for the financial benefit of all. Instead, they jump right to smearing her. Yep. Yep. Yeah, Team Brittany. I love how they think Taylor Swift bullied her way into receiving $1. Yep. And there's that. Scooter Braun is also involved with one of these companies. And right now, I can't remember exactly which one, but doesn't that kind of make sense? That Scooter Braun would jump on the hate train of Blake Lively based on everything that happened with Scooter Braun and his bestie Taylor and her bestie Taylor. Right? In the days that followed, Baldoni and Heath made clear to Abel that they expected Abel and Nathan's strategy to include a social media activation plan, and Abel and Nathan immediately complied in its implementation. But no two. For example, on August 5th, 2024, Baldoni sent Abel a screenshot of an attack campaign against Hailey Bieber, painting her as having a, quote, history of bullying many women. And told Abel, this is what we thought we would need against Lively. Yes, the lover you know. Yes, the Hollywood machine will rocket you to stardom and pull the rug out just as fast. Ask Brendan Fraser. And then he finally got his comeuppance on his payback, right? Recently. Lisa says, Justin Baldoni is a minor actor, director in Hollyweird. Imagine what happens when the perpetrator is a hugely powerful Hollyweird star. Shaking my head. Hey, Jadzia, thanks for hanging out for 5 months. Says, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. To me, the mods and the cupcakes, Happy New Year. Jadzia. Yep. Yep, Team Brittany, you know it. Scooter is still big mad at Taylor for remaking Taylor's version of every single song he stole from her. Yep. And she got her power back. And that's right, Sarah and Chalk and Hara. Another one of my amazing moderators says Scooter Braun lost his mind when Taylor re-recorded her albums and made more money than what he bought the catalog for. I know, I loved it. I loved it. Christina. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Christina. So happy to see Melanie on today. Nothing against hubby, but interests differ. Too much togetherness is not always a good thing. Not always a good thing. Alrighty. That was a footnote too. Nathan and Abel's behind-the-scenes efforts for Baldoni and Heath also included frantically working to squash emerging media reports about certain human resources complaints that had been filed against Baldoni in connection with the film. Right. Several human resources complaints had been filed. Nobody did anything about it. And it wasn't just by Blake. On Information and Belief, Nathan and Abel also used their industry connections to plant negative articles about Lively and press outlets, including the Daily Mail and the New York Post, Page 6, and leverage their teams to create and perpetuate negative content about Lively on social media platforms such as Reddit and TikTok. See? Really happens. Footnote 3. See this article titled, "Is Blake Lively Set to Be Canceled?" String of hard-to-watch videos that have surfaced following tone-deaf Q&A to promote It Ends With Us could tarnish 36-year-old star's golden Hollywood image for good. That was in the Daily Mail on August 16th, 2024. And then in comes sister Sarah Nathan. Blake Lively approved final cut of It Ends With Us amid feud with co-star director Justin Baldoni. Page 6, August 13th, 2024. For example, Abel closely coordinated with Page 6 reporter Sarah Nathan, Melissa Nathan's sister, to publish an article hostile toward Blake Lively's role in the production of the film. Nathan and Abel enthusiastically supported the strategy that Baldoni and Heath wanted and deliberately hid it from Jones in order to ingratiate themselves with Baldoni and Heath, drive a wedge between Baldoni and Jones, and ultimately to steal Baldoni and Wayfarer from Jones Works' clients. For her part, Jones, who was kept in the dark about this coordinated strategy and was not aware that Wayfarer had actively approved and participated in it, objected to Wayfarer's hiring of Nathan and advocated a positive press strategy instead. Wayfarer's president immediately reported Jones's comments to Abel. So this is Wayfarer's president. I can't read her name because the font is too small. Looks like Tara Hanks to Jennifer Abel. Text from Stephanie about the HR article and us hiring Melissa for crisis. This wasn't planted by Leslie. This is playbook by Melissa. There was no New York Post story. She kept at bay. Melissa's sister works at Page 6. We need to flood zones with positive press and push back on claims. There's no counter to claims in story. His complimentary sound bites of Blake need to be covered on high SEO sites. That is from 8/14/2024. Excluding Jones from the conversation, Heath flatly rejected any pivot to a positive strategy in a text to Abel. Suggesting that Jones should be shut out for undermining their strategy, he called Jones's influence on the situation poison. From Jamey Heath to Jennifer Abel. I don't like the idea that there's continued cannibalization from within the same side, meaning Jones Works, i.e. Stephanie, and the crisis team. I only want us to be communicating with people who are working together and not with ones who are undermining others within our team. Stephanie is casting doubt, and that can have an effect like poison. I'm going to bed. A first for me and forever. Let's chat more tomorrow about this. B. Abel and Nathan drive a wedge between Jones and Baldoni and attack Jones's reputation in the press. At the same time as pandering to Baldoni and Heath's desire to discredit Lively, Abel and Nathan were also furthering their own profit-driven agenda to attack and disparage Jones, using many of the same tactics they were using against Lively, in order to eliminate Jones as a competitor and siphon away her clients for themselves. Ironically, Abel and Nathan recognized that their success on both fronts reflected a societal desire to tear down successful women like Lively and Jones, but they remained undeterred in their agenda. From Melissa Nathan to Jennifer Abel, it's actually sad because it just shows you have people really want to hate on women. Jennifer Abel to Melissa, I know it is sad, but then don't be a C word. I think those exact messages were in a prior page. Abel's trashing of women even extended to Nathan herself, whom she had privately badmouthed just months before, cynically hitching her star to Nathan to steal from Jones. MN kind of talks out both sides of her mouth. That's to Jennifer Abel from someone redacted, and then from Jennifer Abel says, you think? She's a piece of shite. I honestly used to like her, and now I see her for how she really is. Working together, Nathan and Abel's stated goal in all of this was to position themselves to be able to steal Wayfarer, Baldoni, and other clients from Jones Works to the new firm Abel was planning to form, so that those clients could then be serviced jointly by both Abel's and Nathan's new firms instead of Jones Works. Melissa to Jennifer, I know, and once you're gone, we'll be on accounts together and we'll make really good money and be happy. Abel and Nathan explicitly discovered their plan to steal Wayfarer and Baldoni away from Jones Works. Let's just keep steering it that way, and you take this effing client and never talk to her again, I swear to God. Exactly. And then it goes on to say, as Nathan made plain, really good money was the motivating force behind this scheme, not any special affection for Baldoni or Wayfarer. And then it goes on to repeat all of the cringy text messages about how they really felt about Baldoni being cringy, his face, the kissing scene. It's kind of repetitive. And this is all text messages that we reviewed the earlier, except for these, which say from Jennifer, I can't stand to be so pompous. A men's retreat during the release. Yeah, we read that. And what cover is he doing? At this point, none, because he's not a star. He doesn't need a retreat. He needs to be humbled. When this movie flops, he's going to try and blame every other person around him for it. And then it goes on to say, to further their plan, Abel and Nathan contrived to plant stories in media outlets, including the Daily Mail and Business Insider, to trash Jones. It's a little bit repetitive. They also back-channeled with Wayfarer and Baldoni to paint Jones in a negative light. For example, following the premiere of the film, the Daily Mail published an article reporting on tensions between Baldoni and Lively. That article relied exclusively on social media posts that had been identified for Abel earlier that same day, either a shocking coincidence or confirmation that Abel had planted the story. On information and belief, Abel and Nathan conspired to plant this story in the Daily Mail in pursuit of dual objectives. First, the negative story cemented Baldoni's need for Nathan's crisis management services, ensuring herself an ongoing paycheck. Second, they arranged for Baldoni and Wayfarer to believe that Jones was the cited insider, and also created a false story that Jones had publicly blamed Lively for the article, thus sowing discord between Baldoni and Wayfarer on the one hand and Jones on the other. So it seems like it sounds like sour grapes, right? It sounds like sour grapes between Stephanie Jones and her former employee and the other person who she was going to hire to be her employee, but that didn't work out. But if you plot things like this, they have legal and financial ramifications if the case can be proved in court. The scheme works. When the article was published at first, key players in the film's release, in court, including Josh Greenstein, the president of Sony Pictures Motion Picture Group, believed correctly that Abel was the person responsible for the story. And this is from Josh Greenstein to Jennifer Abel. Hi, Jen. Been informed. You have been speaking to sites about bad blood between Blake and Justin. He was good on the Today Show. If a negative story breaks, it would hurt the movie. Josh Greenstein. But Abel denied being the source and instead falsely told Sony's communications team that Jones was the leak. This false allegation stuck. Rumors that Jones was behind the article began to make their way back to Wayfarer, causing Heath to respond with hostility. And there's a cite to the Daily Mail article from August 8th, 2024. Jamey to Stephanie and Tara Hanks and Jennifer Abel. I'm hearing from Sony that, quote, someone named Stephanie Jones has responded out to Daily Mail saying that Blake is to blame, and now this has escalated it all. We were purposely not responding to anything as to not fuel. This has fueled it. Everyone stand down unless I'm aware of any moves, sorry. Everyone stand down unless I'm aware of any moves. I don't care who's supposed to do what. I'm most interested in that. I'm interested only in any strategy being run by me. I need all to understand that. When Jones stated her intent to contact Sony to correct this misimpression, Heath instructed her to stand down. From Steph Jones to Jamey Heath, Tara Hanks, and Jennifer Abel. To clarify again, I have not spoken to the Daily Mail. The above isn't true. I also don't believe Danny or Kim at Sony are saying that above. Quote also has spaces as if it was just being drafted. I'm not contacting press, but it's concerning if Danny or Kim are saying I've escalated this as I haven't even touched this. I'm going to contact them. And then Jamey responds back, Stephanie, as your client and the one that pays for the services, I am stating to not contact anyone regarding Wayfarer or Sony at this time. If you do, after this text, it will be a major problem. This needs to be respected now. This is August 8th of 2024. Heath went a step further and threatened Jones directly that he would issue a public press release saying that Baldoni and Wayfarer had terminated Jones Works if she took any steps to contact Sony or others to clear her name, menacingly reminding her that she didn't need that kind of negative publicity for herself or her business. I don't know how much you guys know about Jamey Heath, but he kind of gives me a little bit of ick factor. I think I have some clips that I can show you. On August 9th, 2024, the Daily Mail published another article, this time reporting on Baldoni's abusive on-set behavior, citing insiders as the source for the article. On information and belief, Abel and Nathan conspired to plant this story in further pursuit of their goal to cement Baldoni and Wayfarer's needs for Nathan's services and turn them against Jones. Heath and Abel bragged about the success of this strategy, jokingly referred to, quote, the leak as being, quote, the best decision of a press trip that Abel and Nathan were accompanying Heath and Wayfarer on, which Jones did not attend. It's from Jamey to Jennifer Abel. The best decision of this whole trip, 20 rows separated from, quote, the leak, end quote. In parallel with their efforts in the Daily Mail on information and belief, Abel and Nathan contrived to have Business Insider publish a hostile article about Jones, which was intended to encourage Wayfarer and Baldoni and other JonesWorks clients to want to end their relationships with JonesWorks and to weaken JonesWorks' business. Indeed, as early as July 29th, 2024, Abel and Nathan were coordinating their outreach to Katie Warren, the Business Insider reporter, who eventually published the article attacking Jones. From Jennifer to Melissa, did you by chance chat with Katie? We went through this before. No, she's calling me soon. And then it goes on to say that Abel and Nathan fed information to Katie Warren to write this hit piece in Business Insider. And there was a 27-minute phone call, several phone calls on August 1st and 12th. First phone call of 27 minutes, July 30th. And because this was a business company, a company issued cell phone, Stephanie Jones has all the receipts and all the bills for it. Abel also facilitated Warren's outreach to former clients of Jones to further disrupt Jones's business. And then they went on to talk about that anonymous client. We read these messages earlier in the document. And that client did terminate her contract as a direct result of Abel's encouragement and deliberate interference. In addition, on August 9th, Abel suggested and asked for Heath's approval to try and get Business Insider to remove reference of a letter of support for Jones that Baldoni had previously written, and to falsely tell Warren that Baldoni and Wayfarer had terminated their relationship with JonesWorks when they had not. So Jennifer writes to Jamey Heath, just thought about something. Should I try and get Justin's letter removed from Business Insider? I would need to tell her on background that both Justin and Wayfarer have severed ties. This is damaging. So not sure if your lawyers would recommend that, as she would need to print that, and not sure if it would cause any issues. On August 12th, just 3 days before the article was published, Business Insider's Warren asked Abel to call her back. From Katie to Jennifer, hi, would you mind giving me a call back when you have a minute? Just have a quick question. Abel called Warren 11 minutes later. The day before the article was published, Nathan texted Abel, boasting about the destructive effect it would have on Jones, and mockingly suggested that Abel should tell Jones. From Melissa to Jennifer, Stephanie, are you aware there's a kill story dropping this week on you? And if you hadn't have blown us up, we would not have been in such a bad place. Immediately before the article was published, Nathan texted Abel that she, quote, just got a text from my source to say that article is going live imminently. When Abel asked which article Nathan was referencing, Nathan responded, I just shook my head at your response. The only article. Abel responded, oh, shite, that article. Warren then texted Abel the minute the article was published to alert her that it had gone live. Story is up. Thanks again for your help. Katie Warren to Jennifer Abel. So they didn't just have a smear campaign against Blake Lively. It's also against Stephanie Jones, trying to destroy her business. And that's what this whole lawsuit is about. And this goes on for another 20 or so more pages. Let's see what page we're on here. Trying to smear Stephanie Jones's reputation. It says, unsurprisingly, the negative article about Jones shared a strikingly similar tone with the negative coverage against Lively appearing in the press at the same time. In the same vein as the gendered mean girl coverage about Lively that followed the weaponizing feminism script set out in the strategy memo, the Jones article was premised on the same principles, manifesting an equally sexist critique of Jones, who was cast as a tyrannical boss who could quickly turn combative, rather than a successful executive in a high-profile and high-pressure role. This article had serious negative repercussions on Jones's business and negatively impacted Jones's standing and connection with Jones' work clients, making them more vulnerable to poaching by competitors like Nathan and Abel. Just days later, on August 25th, 2024, Business Insider turned the media storm surrounding Baldoni and Jones more pointedly to Nathan's advantage, publishing a second article that favorably touted Baldoni's hiring of Nathan to shepherd him through this crisis. The article, which on information and belief was again orchestrated by Nathan, noted that the negative attention on Lively was a gift to Baldoni. Wow. In parallel with these articles, John Doe's 1 through 10, who on information and belief were acting in concert with Abel and Nathan, published 2 false and defamatory websites about Jones and Jones Works, the websites. First, in the summer of 2024, the Doe defendants created and posted the webpage StephanieJonesLeaks.com, which was hosted by Hostinger International Ltd. Then, after that website was taken down in around September 2024, the Doe defendants created and posted the webpage StephanieJonesLies.com, which is hosted by Namecheap Inc. and still remains publicly available. Both websites were viewed and continue to be viewed by numerous third parties, including residents of New York County. Wow. Imagine a bunch of deer sitting in court as the Doe defendants. Well, now I got to look up and see StephanieJonesLies.com if that's still up. Hold on. Or if they got scared and took it down, whoever these John Does are. Oh, yeah, it's still up. I mean, it's still up. And she's going to find out who they are because now she's got a lawsuit and she can do discovery. Let's take a break. Take a look at this. Here it is. StephanieJonesLies.com. Holding clients hostage. Stephanie Jones leaks. So I guess the first website got taken down. Here's the second one. Guess it's not so smart that they kept it up. Their last update on here was from 10/21/24. It says, after receiving a notification following another unsuccessful hacking attempt, we decided to have a bit of fun and look into the penalties for computer hacking, as in Connecticut, where Stephanie Jones lives. Hacking, defined as accessing someone's computer without authorization, can carry penalties ranging from a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by jail time and fines, to a Class B felony, punishable by serious jail time and excessive fine. Well, defamation has a price too, my friends. You can go and read this for yourself, but, clearly they're calling her a bully. Oh, but it says, firstly, we would like to reiterate that this site does not serve as a bullying tactic against Stephanie and her pseudo Southern Belle Poor Me Act that she uses on her clients while she cries and screams at them while collecting substantial monthly fees for below par fake PR. This site solely exists due to the years of nonstop verbal and emotional abuse that we all suffered through, and some of us still suffer through, and the horrific treatment in the workplace that's continued without any intervention. Yeah, they do go on to defame her quite a bit. Then they link that businessinsider.com article about Jeff Bezos and Tom Brady, because apparently she represented them as well, or Lauren Sanchez anyway. And you can go look at that for yourself if you like. But whoever's behind this is now being sued in this lawsuit in New York Supreme Court. Lisa says, most people don't think critically and question the source and timing of media smear campaigns, and this case is proof of such. I think a lot of people don't realize that this stuff really goes on behind the scenes, and that you can't believe everything that you read on the cesspool of Twitter, Reddit, and other social media sites, because a lot of that stuff is planted, apparently. It's written by bots. It's written by people whose sole job it is to smear certain people. And this goes on and on and on with all types of other receipts. And this tells us here what this website says. Jones bullied JonesWorks employees. Jones and JonesWorks interfered with the employment prospects of former JonesWorks employees. Jones and JonesWorks leaked confidential client information. Jones and JonesWorks coerce clients into taking actions that are not in their best interest. Jones and JonesWorks interfere with their clients' ability to do business. And she says each of these statements is false. On information and belief, the Doe defendants published the defamatory statements on the websites with knowledge of their falsity, or at a minimum with reckless disregard for the truth, with the specific intent to harm Jones and JonesWorks in their business by causing them to incur reputational harm and lose clients. And that's defamation in New York. Publishing a statement that you know or should know to be false with reckless disregard for the truth, with the specific intent to harm someone's reputation, credibility, causing them actual reputational harm. It's defamation. All the while, Abel had been making arrangements to leave JonesWorks with confidential information and clients in tow. On July 19th, while still employed, she filed paperwork to create her own company. She had also created a website and social media accounts for her new firm while still employed by and under contract with JonesWorks. Yes, and collecting a paycheck. While still collecting a paycheck from Stephanie Jones, she's making her plans to jump ship, setting up her new shop, and intending to steal her clients, including the one who is paying $25,000 a month, which really, if you're starting out, is a pretty good monthly income for a just starting out business. She also created an email account. Then she forwarded dozens of messages from Joneswork, including client's information, client work product information regarding Joneswork's work. For Wayfarer and Baldoni, successfully hid her theft of confidential documents. And then Abel surreptitiously continued stealing more information, documents and client information, while also secretly contacting Jonesworks clients to pave the way for her departure. As her planned departure neared, Abel boasted to Nathan about the damage she was doing to Jonesworks, her then current employer, and Nathan goaded her on. We are going to war. I feel so alive. Ha 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 ha. Going out with a bang. Bang bang. Indeed, when Jonesworks Information Technology, IT personnel, disabled Abel's access to Jonesworks servers after discovering her unauthorized downloading activity, Abel boasted that she was still able to steal all the documents and information she needed to form her own competing firm. From Alicia Jessup to Jennifer Abel, oof, did you get everything you needed before she did all of that? And then Jennifer said, yes, pretty much. I have my own way around that shite because I have like hundreds of different emails for each domain that I own, so she can suck it. Oh boy, girl, you are going down. You're going down. Sorry, Jen Abel, but you're going down. I don't know that your reputation is ever going to be fixed after this, and if you'll ever be able to work in PR again. You guys tell me if you think I'm wrong. Abel further coordinated with Nathan and Baldoni to ensure that Wayfarer and Baldoni would leave Jonesworks and come with her as clients for her newly created RWA communications. And then we these messages we read before also. Just had a nice conversation with Justin, just him and me. I explained to him a few things in my conversations with Leslie. He's like, don't help her. I'm like, I'm not helping her. I'm telling her what we're not doing, and she needs to also not do anything. And my last conversation with her was last Wednesday or so, and then I couldn't help myself. They're all toxic, aren't they? They're all toxic. Yes, it might be time to start settlement negotiations before this goes any further. Big old dog, I agree with you. Hi, Little Miss Red Velvet. Are they really this stupid to pull all this in black and white? Well, yes, they are. Because here it is. I ended it with, and I'm just going to step out of line before I go to bed and tell you, Jen is amazing. She's so loyal. She loves you so much, and you have to go with her. And he was like, oh my God, of course. So Melissa Nathan is obviously trying to convince Justin to stay with Jennifer, who's starting her own company. And there's that. Then on August 21st, 2024, the hammer drops. And that's when Jones learns about Abel's ongoing efforts to steal dozens and dozens of her proprietary documents, including sensitive client and business information that she had no reason to access, including for major brand and clients that Abel had never worked on. She went so far as to download and copy the Jonesworks client contract form, except that she replaced the Jonesworks logo with the logo for her own newly formed business. Jonesworks immediately terminated Abel, so this must have been the day she was fired. The date of fire, 8/21/24. You'll notice that most of these text messages are prior to that date, because on 8/21/24, I believe that is when Stephanie Jones also seized the phone. As part of her termination paperwork, Abel falsely signed a statement purporting to confirm that she had not removed any electronic confidential information from Jonesworks. But of course she had, and this signed statement was untrue. She stole everything. She stole everything. Damage was done. With the encouragement and assistance of Nathan, Baldoni, and Heath, Abel stole Wayfarer and Baldoni as clients, targeted other Jonesworks clients to leave, and launched the long-planned and competing RWA communications. As a result, Wayfarer and Baldoni ceased working with Jonesworks, and despite being under contract with Jonesworks, refused to pay Jonesworks what they contractually owed for services. Even on the day she departed, Abel proudly admitted to Nathan that she was shaking Jones down to extract as much as she could from the company before her departure. From Jen to Melissa. By the way, I'm having my offboarding this morning with our chief of staff, a joke, because Steph won't face me. And you should see the list I made of things to bring up. Oh, them's fighting words. Melissa to Jennifer, I need the list. Jennifer to Melissa, holding them hostage. It's wild, all in caps. Damn contracts, damn technology, damn everything. Melissa to Jennifer, exactly how business should be done. It's over now. You know, I think in song lyrics, and that's the only thing I can think of for these two is it's over now. Nor was Abel content only to steal documents, clients, and confidential information from JonesWorks. On August 14th, Abel also attempted to encourage Nathan to poach a valuable JonesWorks employee. From Jennifer to Melissa, blank wants $200K. From Jennifer to Melissa, he will come work for you. Told you he's pricey. From Melissa to Jennifer, do you think you serious and he would do it? Abel also encouraged at least 6 other JonesWorks employees working for her in the Los Angeles office, almost half of JonesWorks employees at that office, to leave the company, including by bad-mouthing Jones to those employees and sending the employees' resumes to competing PR firms. As a direct result of these actions, 2 of these employees ended their contracts with JonesWorks and left to work for competitors. On information and belief, since being terminated from JonesWorks, Abel has continued attacking Jones within the industry, using her tried and true playbook to preemptively discredit any sources that might shed light on her own misdeeds. She's also tried again to point the finger at Jones to cover for her own role in the campaign against Lively becoming public. And she goes on to say, I didn't doctor anything. Everything here was forensically extracted from the company phone that Abel used during her employment. She voluntarily returned it upon her determination in the presence of an employment lawyer, JonesWorks chief of staff, and an IT specialist. And they've all been preserved in their original state. Wow. The misconduct by Nathan, Abel, Baldoni, and Wayfarer has had significant negative impact on Jones and JonesWorks' business and reputation. And Jones has tried to resolve this out of court. The campaign of misinformation has not stopped. As a result, Jones and JonesWorks have been left with no choice but to bring this lawsuit to seek redress for this misconduct and to remedy the damage done. And now we get into the causes of action. First cause of action, breach of contract. The Abel employment agreement against defendant Jennifer Abel. So apparently they had an employment agreement. Under the employment agreement, Abel agreed, among other things, that 1, she would hold in strict confidence and trust for the sole benefit of JonesWorks all confidential and proprietary information, and that all business and plans made known to her while employed by JonesWorks are the permanent and exclusive property of JonesWorks. In other words, you're not allowed to steal them. 2, she would not use any company proprietary information to solicit, induce, or attempt to solicit or induce any business from any of the company's existing clients, employees, referral sources, or business contacts. Seems pretty clear that she did that, according to this complaint. Number 3, during her employment and for 6 months following the date of any termination, she would not compete with JonesWorks or engage in or participate in any business that is in direct competition in any manner whatsoever with JonesWorks. That's the non-compete clause. And 4, during the employment terms, JonesWorks was entitled to her loyalty, including acting in the best interests of JonesWorks. Then it goes on to explain how she breached that employment agreement by breaching every single thing we've already talked about. Using confidential information to solicit, directly competing within 6 months by starting her own company, poaching clients, soliciting employees, stealing confidential information, and breaching her duty of loyalty. by working against the interests of Jones and Jones Works during her period of employment. It says that Jones and Jones Works did abide by, have substantially performed the Abel employment agreement, and that because Abel breached the employment agreement, her breaches proximately and directly caused monetary damages to Jones and Jones Works in an amount to be determined at trial. You can no longer put amounts in a lawsuit in New York, so you just have to say in an amount to be determined at trial. Second cause of action, tortious interference with contract, Abel employment agreement against defendants Melissa Nathan, Wayfarer, and Justin Baldoni. Jones Works and Abel's Jones Works and why is it like a tongue twister? Jones Works and Abel are parties to the Abel employment agreement, which is a valid and enforceable contract. Under the Abel employment agreement, Abel agreed, among other things, that she would hold in strict confidence all confidential information, and it goes on to say the same allegations. She wouldn't use any proprietary information to solicit, induce, or attempt to solicit, induce any business from any of the company's existing clients. That for 6 months afterwards, she would not compete. That she would be loyal. And then it goes on to say that Nathan, Wayfarer, and Baldoni were aware that she was employed by Jones Works, Abel was, and that she was under contract with the terms that are industry standard, such as those described above. Nathan, Baldoni, and Wayfarer induced, encouraged, and procured Abel's breach of the Abel employment agreement without justification, including by, among other things, 1, breaching her duty of loyalty to Jones Works by working against the best interests of Jones and Jones Works during her period of employment, and encouraging and inducing Abel to violate the non-compete, non-solicitation, and confidentiality provisions of the agreement. Nathan, Baldoni, and Wayfarer, in bad faith, intentionally procured, caused, and facilitated Abel's breaches of the employment agreement. But for the misconduct of Nathan, Baldoni, and Wayfarer, Abel would have not breached the Abel employment agreement. This is what you call intentional interference with contract. And because of the intentional interference with contract, with this employment contract, it is alleged Nathan, Baldoni, and Wayfarer approximately and directly caused monetary damages to Jones and Jones Works in an amount to be determined at trial. It also goes on to say that the intentional interference of contract was willful, wanton, malicious, and or in bad faith, or undertaken through improper means, which warrants an award of punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Third cause of action is breach of contract of the Wayfarer agreement against Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni, which goes on to talk about the agreement between Jones Works and Wayfarer and Baldoni, in which they agreed to pay Jones Works $25,000 a month. Additionally, in the terms of that contract, the Wayfarer contract, it says they also agreed that during the term of the contract and for 1 year following its expiration or termination, they would not solicit or attempt to solicit for employment any officer, employee, or agent of Jones Works, or to employ or attempt to employ or otherwise induce or attempt to induce any employee of Jones Works to terminate such employee's employment or engagement with Jones Works without prior written consent. It's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, but basically it is saying that you're not allowed to take one of the people that worked for me and then have them come work for you within 1 year after you terminate our agreement. She says in May of 2024, the Wayfarer agreement automatically renewed, that at no time within the required 90 days before the automatic renewal did either party provide notice of termination, nor did Wayfarer or Baldoni provide notice of any material breach of the agreement. The agreement has therefore not validly terminated. And Wayfarer and Baldoni are obligated to pay Jones Works $25,000 a month through May 6 of 2025, and are similarly obliged or obligated to comply with the full terms of the Wayfarer agreement through May of 2025. On or about August 30th of 2024, a representative of Wayfarer informed Jones that Wayfarer and Baldoni would no longer require Jones Works services and thereafter refused to pay all amounts owed under the Wayfarer agreement. Wayfarer and Baldoni have breached the Wayfarer agreement through their actions as described in this complaint, including by, among other things, failing to pay the amounts contractually owed under the agreement, soliciting and inducing Abel to depart Jones Works, and employing Abel following her departure from Jones Works. Because of this, she alleges they owe Jones and Jones Works an amount to be determined at trial. Although I don't know what this means because it says that they did terminate the contract August 30th of 2024. But that it was not validly terminated because they owed her 90 days. Oh, in May it renewed. In August, so it was 3 months later, they just told her, we don't require your services anymore, but they had to give a 90-day notice, and she's saying that they didn't. Okay, got it. Fourth cause of action. Tortious interference with contract between about the Wayfarer agreement against defendants Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan. So she's going to go on to say that Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan tortiously interfered with Jones's contract with Wayfarer for the $25,000 a month, but for their actions, Wayfarer would not have terminated the contract, and so therefore they are responsible also for damages. Then the fifth cause of action is a faithless servant, which you don't see very often, against defendant Jennifer Abel. Abel was an employee at Jones Works from July 20 through August 24. During that period, she owed Jones Works a duty of loyalty. Abel breached her duty of loyalty to Jones Works through her actions as described in this complaint, including by acting against the best interests of Jones Works, including by working to undermine and damage Jones and Jones Works' business and reputation. 2, accessing and using and taking for her own purposes and against the company's interests, Jones Works property, documents, and information. And 3, soliciting and inducing and encouraging Jones Works employees and clients to terminate their relationship with their relationships with Jones Works. Yeah, that's a breach of loyalty. This conduct was intended to and did in fact advance Abel's own interests to the detriment of Jones and Jones Works. Foregoing breaches were willful, wanton, and in bad faith. Abel's faithless service proximately and directly caused monetary damages to Jones Works in an amount to be proven at trial. I think this should just settle. Should. Will it? I don't know. And the sixth cause of action is breach of fiduciary duty against Jennifer Abel. The same sort of things. She owed Jones Works fiduciary duty of loyalty, fidelity, and an allegiance to act at all times in the best interests of the company, and for all of the reasons previously set forth, she breached her fiduciary duties, and for that reason, she also owes more damages. And then there's a defamation cause of action against Jennifer Abel. Between September and December 2024, Abel made statements to certain third parties, including participants in the public relations industry in which she and Jones work, asserting, among other things, that Jones had doctored and falsified text messages purporting to be from Abel and was attempting to distribute them to third parties in order to harm Abel and paint Abel in a false light. These statements are false and untrue. These statements are defamatory per se in that they tended to cause harm to Jones and Jones Works' reputations and business interests. Abel made these statements with knowledge that they were false, with reckless disregard for their truth or falsity, or at a minimum, negligently. Abel's statements enjoyed no privilege or authorization. Abel's false and defamatory statements caused harm to Jones and Jones Works' reputation in the public relations industry and among potential clients. The defamatory statements made by Abel approximately and directly caused harm to her reputation and business interests of Jones and Jones Works. This doesn't even have to do with publishing statements. She just made these statements. Defamation law in New York is different than a lot of other places. People in Massachusetts should listen up. Here's defamation against John Doe 1 through 10, who published those websites. So this has to do with publishing things on the internet. John Doe's 1 through 10 published the websites. The websites reviewed by numerous third parties, including on information and belief, residents of New York County. Here's an interesting thing too, because this may not be able to be quantified how many people saw this website. But when you tweet something defamatory about somebody that is intended to ruin their reputation and can be proven to be false, Twitter gives you the number of views that that tweet has had. So that's interesting, isn't it? People think that they can just go on Twitter under fake names and tweet whatever they want about people, and that there's no ramifications for their behavior because they're under a fake name. Many of them also use their real names to publish defamatory statements against people intended to harm their reputation or destroy their credibility that can be proven to be false. Such things as we talked about last night, published on the internet about me and other people. It's easily quantifiable. But with regard to these websites and John Doe's number 1 through 10, the websites included numerous statements regarding Jones and Jones Works, including the following. Jones bullied Jones Works employees. Jones and Jones Works interfered with the employment prospects of former Jones Works employees. Jones and Jones Works leaked confidential client information. Jones and Jones Works coerced clients into taking action that are not in the client's best interests. Jones and Jones Works interfered with their client's ability to do business. These false statements also included accusing Jones of years of nonstop verbal and emotional abuse and horrific treatment in the workplace. Jones, quote, doesn't understand how to truly do PR outside of leaking her own clients' secrets. Jones does not fight for her clients, but she does fight with them, crying, screaming, keeping them hostage. Stephanie Jones takes clients hostage. We just saw that, actually. Not only does she break confidentiality, she willingly does, regardless of the possible damage this kind of behavior might cause. And implying that Jones was hacking the defamatory websites. And we just saw that too. These statements are false. The false statements published on the websites are defamatory per se, in that they tended to cause harm to Jones and Jones Works' reputations and business interests. John Doe's 1 to 10 made these statements with knowledge that they were false, with reckless disregard for their truth or falsity, or at a minimum, negligently. The false statements published on the websites enjoyed no privilege or authorization. False statements published on the websites caused harm to the reputation of Jones and Jones Works in the public relations industry and among potential clients. The defamatory statements published on the websites proximately and directly caused harm to the reputations and business interests of Jones and Jones Works. Here's the prayer for relief. Wherefore plaintiffs pray for relief as follows. Entry of judgment in favor of plaintiffs against all defendants, jointly and severally, for all damages sustained as a result of defendants' wrongdoing, including for the eight causes of actions, any judgment in favor of plaintiffs awarding damages in an amount to be proven at trial, reasonable attorney's fees and costs for this action as allowed by law in the parties' contracts, punitive damages, pre-judgment and post-judgment interest, and such other things that this court may deem just and proper. Also, I would like a jury trial. XOXO. Quinn Emanuel, Urquhart and Sullivan, and LLP. Quinn Emanuel, one of the most highly regarded, largest, expensive entertainment law firms out there. Dated Christmas Eve, 2024. Spotted in New York Supreme, this lawsuit by Stephanie Jones. What say you? Lisa says, Ms. Jones isn't even naming the clients who were poached by this treacherous chick. So she's definitely lying about her releasing confidentiality, right? She's not naming them. Do you think it backs up? Blake Lively's claims? Little Miss Red Velvet, hi, how are you, my dear? Happy New Year. This is so interesting. Melanie, she says, I'm in marketing. I've experience as a PR. You are right. People think they can tweet whatever they like. Yep. Thank you, Sarah, in shock and horror, for pointing out what many people might not know. Fake names aren't protected from IP addresses. No, they're not. It's pretty easy to figure out who people are with the right tools. With the right tools. This is Bucket. Thanks for being a member for 8 months. And Patty, thanks for being a member for 8 months. This is going to heat up before it cools down, in my opinion. I'd like to see what other people come out of the woodwork on this to back up Stephanie Jones and or Blake Lively. I would like to know who the other complainants were on set about Justin Baldoni's behavior that could back this up. Look at Dr. Gale. They got me. I believe their lies. I'm ashamed of myself. Listen, Dr. Gale, who knew, right? Who knew? Who knew that this stuff goes on? This is really shining a light on the dirty tactics of PR. Listen, not every PR company does this. Most PR companies are hired to pump up their clients, to promote their films, to get out there and get good stuff published about their clients, not to get out there and publish horrific things about other people that their clients are doing movies with. And if you're going to pick a fight, why pick a fight with one of the most powerful couples in Hollywood? Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively together, I think I corrected that. I'm going to correct that now, are worth something like $350 million. Is that really the hill you want to die on? Is getting caught? Publishing defamatory stories and planting defamatory things about Blake Lively when she's got Ryan Reynolds behind her? Doesn't seem like the smartest people to pick your fight with. You were duped too, Moni? See? Thank you. This has been fantastic. Wait, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Because I want you to see that interview that so many people point to as being the thing that made everyone hate Blake Lively. And I don't even know when this was originally published. You can help me out here. So this is, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I think it's Kirsty Flaw. If you're not seeing this, it's because she asked me to take it down, but I'm going to play it because fair use and I'm commentating on this. But Kirsty Flaw is a journalist and she entitles this video, "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job." And it was published on YouTube 4 months ago. So I'm not sure when it was originally published. If anybody knows, you could chime in. It's already got 6.1 million views. And her name is Kirsty Flaw. She's got 142,000 subscribers on YouTube, much larger channel than mine, about double the size. And Livy says, "I always had a sneaking suspicion that Blake was being smeared. Sure, she can be a mean girl, but all of us have our days." Yeah. Here's the day. Here's the day that everyone points to. And here's Kirsty Flaw's interview that she said Blake Lively interview that made her want to quit her job. But then in her description, she has a lot of other videos. I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. I'm not bad-mouthing her in any way, shape, or form. She's probably a very nice woman. But she has interviewed a lot of famous people. Meryl Streep, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood, Julia Roberts, Robert De Niro, Michael Douglas, Richard Gere, she gets all of the really, really high-profile interviews. I mean, look at the people she has interviewed: Johnny Depp, Sylvester Stallone, Leo DiCaprio, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Lawrence, and you can go to her channel and you can watch all of these. Harry Styles, Dakota Johnson. Does anybody have any background on her? Because I really don't know anything about her. But let's all right, Shannon says, "Too many excuses for Blake. trite behavior to others. So many excuses for many interviews and shite on the interviewer that posted the interviewer. That only a few minutes, no editing. She and Aubrey Plaza were bees. Okay, let's watch it. Let's watch it. Thank you, Shannon, for your opinion. So, as Sarah and Shock and Horror says, that may be true, but it doesn't necessarily coincide with what this issue is about or justify the actions of others. Right. Two things can be true, right? She could have had some bad interviews where people think that she was mean to people, and she could also have the right to not be sexually harassed on a film set. And having men on set walk into her dressing room when she's naked, topless, when she's breastfeeding, and showing her pornography and talking to her about pornography and asking her about her O's. I'm going to say O's for those of you in the chat who have your no headphones on and also who have children in the room or at work, and asking her personal questions about her sex life with her husband. I mean, look, doesn't accuse any allegations, but here is this interview. It's 4 minutes long. We'll keep stopping to commentate. And if it's cut out, that means I had to cut it out.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
Congrats on your little bump. Apparently, that may have been part of the talking points that were not supposed to be discussed during this interview. This was a 2016 interview during the promotional tour for Cafe Society, which was that Woody Allen film. Pregnancy, hormones. If you've been pregnant, you know, I'm not excusing her. Pointing it out.
You've got two nice ones.
They are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it
Okay.
out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are
You like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
Notice the cuts. I just want you to notice the cuts, okay? So notice the cuts between Parker Posey and Blake Lively speaking, and then the cut to the reaction of the interviewer. And I don't know what happened in post. Right? So I don't know. Somebody defended the one who congratulated Blake here in the interview, stating Blake knew this woman couldn't have children. That's where the smear campaign started with this interview. Yeah. I don't know if that's true. So rude if that's the case, and can see why she may react that way, right? If it was one of the talking points that they weren't supposed to talk about. I thought I read somewhere Kirsty can't have children, and that's why she was particularly upset about Blake Lively's little bump retort, but who knows, right? I don't know. I heard about that too. Lois Lane said it comes across mean right away, right? Again, pay attention to the cuts. I'm going to take it back so you can see how it goes from cutting on these two speaking back to her for her reaction.
They are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it
Okay.
out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are
You like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
I love most of his movies, and this one was so like visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's
He has
suits
some
and
beautiful.
how
That's what I'm saying.
he
His wardrobe was
translate-
beautiful.
I know.
Corey's
Everybody.
wardrobe
I
was
know.
gorgeous.
He's
Those
so great.
high-waisted pants.
He's so great.
I would wish men
and
wore
sorry
high-waisted
too.
pants like
I
that.
know.
You know,
So-
look, you can see how uncomfortable she's looking. But again, this could be in the edit. Right, Team Brittany, the edits are obvious. She's looking like she's really uncomfortable because they're sort of shutting her out of the conversation, because I think what they were trying to say is, why are we having this, like, why are you asking about us about the wardrobe? Can't we talk about anything a little more substantial, like our acting, like our experience of working on this film? Would you ask the men about their wardrobe in the movie? So I don't know. Around the World doesn't find any of the people involved in this mess as being very likable. None of them. So here, what was her question again? Her question was about the wardrobe.
I would.
I love a
No, not bumps. The love.
fan.
I love most of his movies, and this one was so like visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes? I don't know. I think they were like, you know, what, because we're women, we can't talk about anything more substantial.
Yeah.
And, you know, working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's
He has some
suits and
beautiful. That's
how
what I'm saying.
he
His wardrobe was
I
beautiful.
know.
Corey's
Everybody.
wardrobe
I
was
know.
gorgeous.
He's
Those
so
high
great.
waisted pants.
He's so great.
I would wish men
and
wore
sorry,
high waisted
too.
pants
I
like
know.
that still.
Me
Or
too.
their father with his tank top in
Oh,
bed.
it's so
Just
good.
like it's just like
Did you
that.
catch
You could
the,
feel
the
it.
tablecloth on the light in the Italian
And then, and you know, again, look at how how uncomfortable the reporter looks. But I mean, we don't know about the edit. I'm just going to point it out again.
restaurant when they eat
I
spaghetti?
didn't
and
notice that. No.
that- There's
Yeah,
so
I feel
much
like-
warmth of everything, you know.
Yeah, it's not just the women that have the clothes.
But
I feel like the women
Vittorio-
get the conversation, but it's like
yeah,
every detail with everybody.
but
Like,
yeah,
it's so,
it was
so
amazing
beautiful.
to look at, and then to
Steve's
see
white
it.
suits.
Yes,
And then you notice in LA, like everybody's in cream colors, and all the men are wearing like
Again,
white
the
and cream.
uncomfortable.
And
She's
in New
looking
York and-
uncomfortable. People are saying it's weird how she's talking only to Parker Posey and not the interviewer. Yeah, it's weird.
It's a little bit more browns and moodier. And Susie really told such a story
yeah,
um,
amazing.
alongside Vittorio, because it is a lot brighter.
And again, people are saying she doesn't look at the interview, but like we don't know what's happening when they're cutting to the interviewer, right? So was it edited to look like she never was looking at the interviewer and she's only looking at Parker? Because while we're looking at the interviewer, she's still talking. So it's hard to tell. I mean, editors make a lot of money and they're really good at their jobs for a reason. I'm just pointing it out.
You notice in LA, like everybody's in cream colors, and all
be
the
looking
men
at
are
it right
wearing, like,
now.
white and cream. And then you get to
Mhm.
New York, and it's a little bit more browns and moodier. And Susie really told such a story
Yeah,
um,
amazing.
alongside Vittorio, because it
Wow.
is a lot brighter and sunnier in LA, and New York has just a steaminess to it.
And I think, you know, the whole Hollywood glam, it's so glamorous and
Mhm.
everything. Can you relate to the things they were saying about Hollywood? It's so easy to get seduced by the fame and the money and the
Oh,
glamour.
you see it all the time. That was one of my favorite things about the movie, were the subtle turns to
Mhm.
their own transition into like the ego
Mhm.
of showbiz that Kristen has in that
Mhm.
scene with Steve Carell, and then with Bobby taking on the persona of a club
Mhm.
owner, but still, like, these are things you do in your
And then again, if you're just looking at the reporter's reactions, which could be valid, I mean, she could feel uncomfortable and she's like palpably uncomfortable. But a lot of people are basing their impressions of Blake Lively based on these shots of the reporter looking uncomfortable, right? Am I wrong?
you're an adult
Yeah.
when you have to work.
She is. I agree
you
with
have
you.
you play a part.
Mhm.
You play at your life in a way that you find successful or
And Desert Quill, I don't think Flaw wants to be any part of this. She does not want to be dragged into this. I'm saying that the public perception of Blake Lively is largely based on this interview, right? For the most part. One of the interviews that she is largely slammed for is this one.
so it's a lot about choices.
Mhm.
And then they carry this love, and it's just very
Yeah,
very grown
neat
up
to
and
see where they
warm.
came from, though, and see how authentic these people truly are, and what good people they truly are too.
Yeah.
Because it's what you would see from the outside of the cafe society. You could dismiss each of their characters, but
Right.
to see what a heart and soul each of them have is nice, and it's something that that's the thing. As far as like relating to it personally, that you see, you have these ideas of people that you're fans of, and then you meet them and get to know them as a person, and oftentimes you're such a great.
I don't know. Red Sox girl says not really. It just shows how nasty she is or was. But I don't like what is she being nasty about right now? Like, did she say anything nasty? Aside from something about the reporter's bump? I mean, what has she said that's nasty?
Great fan of
Like, legitimately
person than you are
asking.
as the person that people feel like they know. And
It's from
that's always,
2016, Tiffany.
that's always nice and refreshing when
Yeah.
when you see that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, what do you feel like is the biggest misconceptions about fame and Hollywood in general?
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of the how intrusive media is these days, there's people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work. And if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you. So I think the biggest misconception I see often is people feeling like they know someone that they don't, because they know what the media has created of someone. And the disappointing thing is when you meet the people, they're always so much more awesome than than they're portrayed to be. I mean, that's normally my experience. And even people that are portrayed to be really great people, they're just a lot more complicated and interesting and nuanced and caring and thoughtful. And that's always nice, you know, to see that your idea of someone isn't always who they actually are.
Yeah.
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 Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
I mean, I didn't see anything nasty. Leanne said, this is ridiculous. Blake isn't being mean, nasty, or rude, or biatchy. I mean, I don't know. That's why I thought it was important to watch this 4-minute clip. I don't even know if this was the entire interview because this was posted on YouTube only 4 months ago and the original interview was in 2016. Does anybody know if this original video had ever been posted at any time prior, or did she hold on to it and not publish it until 4 months ago, till the movie came out? Curious. Jojo says, in my opinion, Blake is looking at whoever's talking. Kimberly said, I saw nothing wrong here. Crowbat, I said, I saw zero biatchiness. Right? I mean, if you can point me to another interview that people are, you know, thinking that give legitimacy to that she's so mean, be uncomfortable if someone leaned in a draped arm on my armrest instead of her own. Since Lois Lane says, I think she looks nauseous. I was so nauseous in the beginning. Harmony says, how many interviews has Blake done? People are slamming her for just this one. Kind of, yeah. Kind of, yeah. And then Kirsty posted another video just like 3 days ago where she talked about this case again. This was her nightmare interview. I mean, this is a little bit weird too, and they might totally strike me on this because it's a Cosmopolitan interview that Justin Baldoni did about intimacy coordinators and Blake Lively. I think what I'll do is I'll drop all these links below. His proposal that he did for Emily 11 years ago that has 14 million views. His TED Talk that has 3.5 million views. Perhaps it's all about one's own perception. Yes. Yes, spellbombing. Forget all the charity work she and her husband do. This video clip is the basis to take the woman down. That's right. Livy says this interviewer is making herself relevant. She just wants clout. That's what people might think. There's an interview that he did with Elle UK that I will link as well for you. A lot of other things that I would play for you, but I can't because the copyright strike me and we don't want to go there. Blake announced her pregnancy publicly before that infamous interview, says Kathy. But it may have been something that she just didn't want to discuss during the promotion for the movie, you know? Screaming Mimi Sue says, really, if you're a lady and successful, they look for a reason to tear you down. The interviewer is a bad interviewer. I don't know. Venus Blue says, the earliest I can find anyone talking about Kirsty Flaw was in August when the movie came out and the PR campaign started. That's interesting. Incidentally, Scarlett Johansson was also married to Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, people don't like her for that either. Miss Jessica says, ask Anna Wintour if Blake is a mean girl. She let her run the Met Gala, and it was stunning. It was stunning. All right, my friends. It has been 2 hours and 45 minutes. I don't think we're done with this story yet, but I wanted to give you a little taste of what was going on in the real lawsuit with Stephanie Jones, actually, against Justin Baldoni. Kind of, hold on a second. Yeah, I got to jump because I got to get on call, which kind of thinks like it's going to heat up before it heats down. So there's that. I'm left wondering, that's it with that interview? Yeah, it's 5 minutes long. I'll link all that other stuff for you. Thanks you guys for coming in today and hanging out with me for a little bit. Happy New Year. I'm sure I'll see you before then, but if I don't, or if you don't, come join me for whatever I have planned for today, later, and tomorrow. You're going to want to hit the bell and you're going to want to hit subscribe because you're not going to want to miss it because we have plenty of other things and cases to discuss, as we know, talk about lots of different things. And I think that you might want to come back for it. So hit the bell. Thank you, moderators, for keeping it classy today. And as always, thank you to my viewers, replay viewers. Do the things that YouTube likes. Please smash the like button, share the stream out, comment respectfully, tell me about other things you want to talk about. And as always, stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. It's not hard. Really, it is so not hard. Your life will be so much better for it. I promise you. Peace. Good night or goodbye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.